What's up, everybody? It is time for a very special holiday high five. I am without my co host tonight, so we're just going to get the intro going and get underway. Thanks, you guys, for being here, and we'll see you in a minute. What's up, my friends? Thank you for joining me as the Faces for Radio podcast presents a very special holiday high five. I am your host, David, aka the 4K Lowdown. Unfortunately, my co-host, Rich Turner Fan 77, will not be able to attend tonight. He has a very sick boy at home, so we wish Miles all the very best. And Rich may be joining us in the chat here to say hey and hopefully give us thoughts on his movies. But without further ado, I'm going to bring out my guest. Now, I wrote a little poem that I'm going to go ahead and recite, and it's just in honor of the holiday season and our very special guest. Me. 'Twas the week before Christmas, and who should arrive but KB Loves Movies for a special high five. KB did choose his movies with care in the hopes that we might score them fair. As collectors watch all snug in their beds while visions of movies just dance in their heads. On Home Alone, on White Christmas, on Scrooged, and on Elf, I watched It's a Wonderful Life all by myself. Now it's time to introduce the man we all know. Merry Christmas, KB, and welcome to the show.
That was awesome. That's definitely going up on the Instagram story tomorrow. That was perfect. I love it.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. My second cousin, KB, is in
Second
the
cousin
house.
Dave.
How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. I'm very happy to be here. I've been a fan of the show and the channel for a long time, and I think when we had our conversation on my channel, it was like, "Oh, we'll get you on the channel." I was like, "Yay!" And
Yeah.
it's like you're going along. We got to make that happen. We got to make that happen. So.
And then finally, I put my foot down and I was like, I want KB on the show. And then I said, you know what? Holiday season's coming up.
Yeah.
That's what I want. That's who I want to celebrate the holidays with.
Oh.
Is my second cousin KB. And
get
some of your favorite holiday movies, and we can talk about them and have a lot of fun. I do wish Rich could have joined us tonight, but
feel better, Miles.
I wish Miles all the best. I hope he gets better soon. But let's say hey to the chat before we get rolling. Dell is here. What is up, my friend Dell? Corey is here. How are you, my friend? Jerry is here.
Jersey in the house.
Movie Hunter 2020 is in the house. Everybody's saying hey. Love it. And of course, we got Mika. Hey, Mika, how are you? So good to see you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Like the intro and a lot more haze back and forth. I love the community. This is amazing. So KB, I know you're familiar with what we do, but for everyone else, basically what this is, as the high five, is our guest, in this case, second cousin KB, is basically presented us with his holiday high five, 5 of his favorite holiday movies he likes to watch. And what we did, Rich and I, was we watched them and scored them ourselves and ranked them from 5 to 1. So what I'm going to do is started off with number 5, work to number 1, and have KB score them live on the show. And for those of you that aren't familiar with the scoring process for the Lowdown, it's 10 aspects of the movie that we like. We score each on a 1 to 10 scale, with a maximum of 100 and a minimum of 10. I don't think I've seen either one, although Rich has come very close, um, giving a 99 to Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and I'm still giving him crap about that. But um, he loves that movie, and he named his son after Miles Morales. So I you know what? I let him slide on that.
Yeah.
It's allowed. Um, so KB, your thought process for picking these 5 movies, was it just, I know they're low-hanging fruit, there's some really popular movies.
Yeah.
Are these some of your favorites? Did you wanna pick different eras and different styles of Christmas movies? What was your thought on this?
It was a combination of things, but mainly, it was a variety of movies that we only watched during the holidays. But the thing for me is these are movies that we watched growing up, besides like the Rankin Bass, Charlie Brown TV specials that we saw on TV every year,
Right,
but
right.
movies that we saw every year as kids. And then growing up, we introduced them to our kids. So much so that I was watching a YouTube video with one of the movies we're going to discuss today, and I turned around and my daughter, who's now 24, was basically verbatim, word for word, reciting it to our dog. So it, it's a lot of nostalgia, but it's things that remind me, as our kids get older and everything,
Mhm.
it's like you remember the times when they were younger, the things that brought you together as a family. So these are 5 movies that are my favorites because they're family favorites.
Nice, I like that. And it's funny, I had a similar issue with one of the movies, and my youngest is 28,
Mhm.
and, she and her 4-year-old daughter were here. All of a sudden, I hear familiar music coming from the living room, and I turn around, and it's one of the movies that we're gonna talk about tonight.
Nice.
And my daughter was introducing my granddaughter to this movie for the first time, and I was like, "Aw," so I had to go out there and watch it with them, and we had a great time. So,
That's awesome.
I'm excited to talk about that. Uh, Also, during the show is you are going to receive what I call the hot seat questions. So, um, like your 5 questions, I have 5 questions, primarily with your movie habits, things that you like and don't like, and we're going to stick with the holiday theme. So, like you did with me with the spooky conversation last year, we're going to do the same thing only with holiday movies. So, when I ask you the questions, they will be holiday related.
Gotcha.
Um, so, are you ready?
Yes,
Uh,
sir. Let's go.
Excellent. So Dell says Across the Spider-Verse really is perfect. It is an
It is.
amazing
It is.
animated movie. Um, I haven't seen this one. Heard good things. Across the Spider-Verse, you haven't seen? If you haven't seen Across the Spider-Verse, I definitely recommend, Mika, that you grab that today
Yeah,
and,
both of
and wa-
them. Excellent.
both of them. Yeah, they're very good. I can't wait for the third.
Me
Uh,
either.
all right. So first things first, let's start with your first hot seat question. Are you ready?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So, hot seat question number 1, do you prefer to watch movies in the theater, on digital media, or physical media? And this one doesn't have to be holiday related,
Huh.
but
Well, despite all these things behind me, physical media is not my preference. Um, like you, I grew up where the only way we could see a movie was in the cinema for quite a while until VHS and Betamax hit home. And
right.
even then, we couldn't see the movies that we wanted to see over and over because they were 99 to 150 bucks per movie. They were made for renting, not for
Right.
buying
And the
original.
VHS player was $1,000. It was, yeah. It
Yeah,
was it was like that. It was absolutely crazy until, for me, graduating high school was when
yeah,
I was actually able to start being able to afford these things.
same. And
Watch
I
movies.
think it was a situation where even if you wanted to see your favorite movie in the cinema and it left, there were re-releases. I remember when they re-released Saturday Night Fever with a PG rating, so they edited like for TV and re-released it in the theater so more people could see it. Because as kids, we loved the soundtrack and John Travolta with his disco moves. So they made it accessible for a younger audience. And the same thing with all the Disney movies or everything. So even to today, whether it's a horror movie, I want to see it that opening weekend with horror fans. If it's an action movie, sci-fi, something that's I know is gonna have a great look with Dolby Vision or great sound with Dolby Atmos, or I almost said THX. Whoa, I went back on that one.
That
But
was
you know what I
way
mean.
Yeah.
IMAX, whatever it is. So yeah, I still call it a theater experience, not watching a movie at the cinema. It's just an experience to see it on the big screen.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that. And we're gonna say hey to Jeff, who
What's
joined
up,
us.
Jeff?
What is up, Jeff? Thank you so much for being here. And uh really, really good stuff. And that's I feel the same way. I mean, I do love my physical media, but nothing beats going to the theater
Yeah, yeah,
and seeing something for the first time. It's not like it was where, in some cases it's standing room only and the audience reacts um positively or negatively to the movie, and it just
yeah.
enhances the entire experience. You
Yep.
don't get that much anymore.
Mm-mm.
But still, if I could afford it, if it wasn't so darn expensive to go to the theater all the time, I would do that. And if it wasn't an hour away to the nearest theater,
Yeah,
I would go to the cinema way more often.
yeah. AMC is based here in Kansas City, where I am.
Mhm.
So they have the AMC Stubs A-list pass, whatever. So you
Mhm.
pay one flat fee and you could go up to 3 times a week. So if you play your cards right and you have the time, you could really see like 12 or 15 movies in a month on
Yeah.
that flat rate. And that's
Yeah.
in any format, IMAX, Dolby, whatever.
Oh, that's nice. I have a similar thing because I have the Regal Unlimited pass,
Yeah.
and it's the same thing. Only it's unlimited. I can watch as many movies as I want. I get one ticket at a time, so I
Hmm.
still have to pay for my wife to go. But and I found that it's no fun not being with her in the movies. I don't like
Yeah.
being by myself in the theater anymore. Uh, but but yeah, it's an hour drive one way, and plus I'm paying for popcorn or drink or whatever else I have to get, gas
Dinner.
to get there, and dinner, and yeah, it's an all thing. But my wife and I try to do it, at least a few times a month. We have our date night on Tuesday nights, and we usually go to the theater because it's $5 a day for everybody. Um, so that way she gets in for $5, I get in for free. We watch, we're gonna see Wonka tomorrow and see how that is. Um, not my forte, but I've
You're
I
doing
made
good
my
things.
I
You're
made
doing
my wife watch a bunch of horror movies this year, so I I am more than happy to pay her back.
Yeah.
Mika says that they have the Star Pass,
Mm,
have to use it more than we do. It's harder to get to the theater lately, and it is.
yeah.
It just is. All right. So, as I said before, KB, we took all five of your movies, we watched them, and we scored them, and we ranked them from 5 to 1 based on the average score between the two of us. So, what? Yes, Mika says I owe her Wonka. Yes, I do. Not even taking full advantage of my A list, only making 2 or 3 trips to the theater a month, but it's
Same,
still paid for itself. Yeah,
same.
I
You
mean,
go twice, it pays for itself.
yeah, I got the same thing with the Regal. So as long as I can go 2 or 3 times a month,
Mhm.
I get my money's worth out of it. So yeah, it's worth it.
Yep.
Um, all right. So are you ready for the number 5 movie? And
Do I have to
not
guess?
necessarily, you can guess. You can absolutely guess, and then you'll get a
Mhm.
clip with the answer. But go ahead and
Okay.
guess which one is the number 5 movie.
Shout out to Rich. He's not here, but I know how much he loves Bill Murray. So if I had to guess, I would go with Scrooge as being number 5.
That is an interesting guess. Let's see what our number 5 movie is.
Sorry! Looks like a Christmas tree. Sorry I can't ride with you the rest of the way up. Well, have a good time. Oh, I forgot to give you a hug.
It is Elf, coming in at number 5, and not necessarily because it's bad. It just got the lowest average score. Um, But yeah, so this is from 2003, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, I'm right. I had to double check that. Of course, it stars Will Ferrell and James Caan, and there's Peter Dinklage, and you've got a really, really amazing cast in here.
Yep.
I'm already upset. 100% better than
I will say this: I'm doing my movie challenge for the month. It's the holidays with Uncle Marty, so I'm watching a holiday themed movie and a Scorsese movie because I spent most of the year upgrading or buying his filmography. And I rewatched Scrooge the other day, and it dates itself so hard. But we'll talk about it more. I just wanted to get that in. So yeah, I'm with you, Del. I enjoy Elf more than Scrooge.
Yep. I'm gonna say hi to Caveman. Caveman's in the house. My
What's up,
friend
guy?
Guy. Thank you so much for being here. And Mika has to disagree. Scrooge beats it.
Ooh,
According
okay.
to her.
Okay.
And I have to say I found Scrooge a little better myself, but I still gave Elf a higher score than Rich did.
So let me guess, he's a big fan of Will Ferrell too.
Speaking of which, yeah, he's yeah. So
Hey, there he is.
Here, what's up, my brother? Thank you so much. I'm sorry you couldn't be here as
We miss
well.
you.
Yeah, we wish all the best for Miles. I already threw you under the bus and said that all these scores are your fault. So we're just gonna kick right into gear and go for the scores. So the first score is the cast, and this is by recognition only. So if you recognize the person by name and face, it's 2 points. If you recognize the person by name only or by face only, then it's 1 point, and it's a cumulative up to 10. So thinking about the cast that's in this movie, what score do you think you would give that?
I would give it an 8. Of course, Will Ferrell, very recognizable. James Caan, if you're a movie fan, you know him since the 70s, Godfather, playing Sonny and Forward. Zoe Deschanel, that's where the questions start to come into play. A lot of people confuse her with her sister and it's like, oh, that's that girl from Bones. Wrong one. So that might be a questionable one. I know Mary Steenburgen by face. I always forget her name.
Yeah.
And then
That's
Ed
hard one to
Asner.
remember.
Yeah, Ed Asner, Mary Tyler Moore show. I'm old. It shows.
Mhm.
So I'd say about a 7
I'm
or
like,
8.
I know that guy and I know that person, and
Yeah.
but yeah, thanks. Dell says, it's okay, Mika, even you aren't perfect. Yes. We're all wishing the best. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
man.
running a temperature. He's not doing too well. So tis the season, unfortunately. Yes, I'm always fighting pneumonia in the wintertime. It's
Oh,
just so
wow.
fights on love.
6
Okay.
inches.
Yep. But yeah, I enjoy Peter Dinklage in this. He cracks me up. I am not a Will Ferrell fan. I'm just
Okay.
propensity right off the bat. Stranger Than Fiction is pretty much my one-off that I really like with him in it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm just not a fan of his comedy. This not a full exception, but I give this one a pass because it's the Christmas season and he's playing an elf. And although I did like Will Ferrell in Quiz Show, which is on Hulu, and
Ooh,
that was
that's a
with
deep cut
Tina
right
and
there.
Sandra Oh. That he was pretty good in that. I mean, he was he was really toned down, and I think that's probably what I liked.
Yeah.
I need to check my elf score. Oh, I'm going to give you the elf score, buddy. All right, so we got an 8 for cast. The next thing is the acting. Yeah, weather's been crazy. I agree. It's we're about to get rain for the next probably 6 days straight, and
Oh,
it's
wow. You need it, though. You
we
need
need
it
it.
up there.
We absolutely need it in
For
California.
sure.
So the next thing is the acting, and this is basically quality of acting based on the cast. So on a 1 to 10 scale, what would you give the acting here?
I would give it a 7.
Nice.
I think starting with Ferrell, I think the innocence of Buddy the Elf as a character, he covers well without being his normal over the top self. And I think that's when he really shines, is when he has to kind of subdue himself, whether it's for a dramatic role or something like this, where it's like you have that childlike wonder, but you're not being like old school over the top funny.
Mm.
And then other people in the cast, like you mentioned, Peter Dinklage or James Caan, pretty much playing the straights in
Yes.
a comedy. So I think stuff like that. And then you have, going back to Ed Asner, any depiction of Santa is always interesting to me to see what direction they're going to go. A lot of movies and TV shows move away from the jolly Saint Nick, big belly ho 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 kind of thing. And
Right.
I like those deviations because we get to see David Harbour swinging a sledgehammer, or we get to see a curmudgeon in Ed Asner, or whatever the case may be. So I like when there's departures from this typical caricature of Santa.
Yeah. Rich, make sure your elf on the shelf wasn't hidden in your son's belly.
Hey, man.
Good job, caveman. Way to bring the room down.
Oh,
All
man.
right. So the next category is the plot, and basically this is straight from IMDb. I am going to read the synopsis of the movie, and based on that and that alone, you're going to score it on a 1 to 10 on whether or not you would watch it without knowing who was in it or anything else. Before I do that, I just want to say that this movie had a budget of $33 million and it made $228.1 million in the box office. So it definitely made its money, and it's made so much more on video. I just couldn't get a number on it, but it's amazing. So I am going to read the synopsis as follows. Raised by an oversized elf, Buddy travels from the North Pole to New York City to meet his biological father, Walter Hobbs, who doesn't know he exists and is in desperate need of some Christmas spirit.
Initially, I did the same thing before I gave the score for me. I went and I read it, and I initially said 6, and then kind of bumped it up to a 7. So I'm going to stick with the 7.
Okay.
It's interesting, but still kind of leery. So it's kind of like just passing.
Right.
I'll see it. No expectations.
Yeah. Mika says 7 seems fair for elf on acting.
Yeah.
That's good. You probably won't like my score then, Mika, but that's okay. Okay, so now the ending. So just the ending by itself, what would you rate that on a 1 to 10? Closure, answer all the questions that you had. Did it end the way you wanted? Were you expecting more? Et cetera, et cetera. What would you give the ending on this one?
Based on that criteria, I went high, and I went with a 9.
Okay, good score. Because I went 10.
Okay.
I loved the ending of that. That's my favorite part of the movie. Besides the fact that the credits are rolling and I didn't have to see what they're on, I liked how it ended. It ended like
it was cute.
You should, and I really enjoyed that. Speaking of which, Miss Caveman, speaking of Christmas movies, Merry Christmas to you.
Yes.
Where there's one, there is the other. So I always love to see Miss Caveman when Mr. Caveman is here. All right. So the next thing is the story. So the story is beginning, middle, and end. How did the story progress? Were there any holes in the storyline? Any problems that you saw? Did it drag at any point? So what would you rate the story on a 1 to 10?
Being that it's a comedy, I find that it's harder to have like plot holes in a comedy, because it's kind of like either situational or it's a thing where it's progressing along the way. And it wasn't like things were left unturned. Even something as small of a subplot as the whole thing with the book by Christmas, I think that was resolved in a way that made you go, yay, So I would go high here again and say 9.
Okay. Well, it wasn't quite that high, but pretty close. Just think how many times the same movie was sold with a different Jingle Bell Walmart slipcover. Oh yeah. Yeah. Especially, Tony, Mr. Basement Blues, he probably has like 40 copies of that.
Merry Christmas, Tony.
Merry Christmas, Tony. That's another person I want to get on the show for a high five.
He's such a great guy.
He's such a great guy. And he seems open to it,
Yeah.
Okay, so the next 5 categories are pretty much technical in nature. The first one being the script. So what did you feel about the script? Dialogue? Did you see any ad libs? Did you have any problems with the, I kind of use like the sets and maybe editing as also kind of part of it. But what did you think of the script on a 1 to 10?
Well, I was thinking about the screenwriter of it.
Mhm.
This was his first screenplay, and he went on to do the Eddie Murphy Haunted Mansion and Strange Magic and a couple other ones. Not that many though. And
Mm.
out of the list of them, I would honestly think this is his best. So let me look at my score here. I think I gave him an 8 on that.
Mhm.
First time out,
I
first feature, and kind of like hit his peak right there, and it's kind of been down since. So
no. Walmart owns the game when it comes to repackaging the same old stuff with new slipcovers. Oh yeah. I can't
oh
tell you
yeah,
how many times I've seen DVD copies of the same movie with a different slipcover.
yeah,
Um,
shine up that turd and you could
yep,
sell
exactly. Polish that and hope it doesn't flush. So the and yeah, you and I are on the same boat. I felt the same way. I think this was his best screenplay of the group,
it.
and I also gave that an 8. So um, I like your research. I'm so glad you did that. Uh,
I've been watching, and it's like sometimes people are just like giving their numbers. I want to show that I'm I'm bringing the real here, man. So yes,
you're making an effort. I love your participation.
I'm
That's
trying. I'm
it's
trying, baby.
great. I love it. All right. So the next thing I have it as cinematography, but basically it's visual. So anything visual,
hmm
special effects, cinematography, CGI, green screen, anything like that. What would you rate the visuals here on a 1 to 10?
This is where there's a dip for me, and I gave it a 6, just because I mean some of the uh, art direction and so forth scenes were kind of simplistic in nature. Like you couldn't have like something looking like a wild forest when it was supposed to be a childlike version of the North Pole. And
Mhm.
I always say if you shoot in a city that has like landmarks that are, famous, like
Yes.
New York City,
Yes.
that's pretty much a character in the movie. So you shoot in New York City, you're going to have a B-roll shot of the Empire State Building. Duh.
Yes.
Once upon a time we had the towers, rest in peace.
Right.
But they didn't have to try that hard. And then the CGI was simple but of the time.
Mhm.
So I would say the good thing is, which gave it above a 5, is that the CGI has stood up even to today, 20 some odd 22 years later. Was that 2001? Elf?
It's 2003, so it's exactly 20.
2003. So 20. Okay, so right on the
Yeah.
dot. Maybe
Yeah.
so that would be the only thing as far as visuals and cinematography that would be wow factor. But
Mhm.
everything else was pretty simplistic. Studio sets for the apartments and the office and so forth. And like I
Right.
said, the North Pole was simplistic in nature. So that's where it will dip. I mean, nothing to write home about. So a 6.
Right. Right. Yeah, I think you're focusing on the comedy and the dialogue,
hmm
the characters in the movie. So yeah, I could definitely see that as well. All right, so the next thing is the direction. So this is directed by John Favreau, who of course did Iron Man and all those other ones.
Yeah.
So, what would you rate his directorial job here on a 1 to 10 based on his body of work?
I think this is what got him into Disney and Marvel, really, to do work here, do work on MCU stuff, even as an executive producer, if not directing. I mean, it was mostly the Iron Man stuff up front that he did, but then his work on The Mandalorian and all that. I think that was all preceded in one way or another by the success of Elf. I won't say necessarily his direction, but the success of Elf. And just going back to the whole thing with Will Ferrell, when you have someone like that who's known, same thing with Bill Murray, you have someone who's known for the ad libs and just being over the top to, make an impression and to be able to kind of pull back on the reins and get that performance out of them, but not have them be too much.
Mm,
I think it was solid. So I gave it an 8.
good. Nice. All right. Mika said New York is its own character in the film. Agreed.
Yep.
Don't really need to do much with the backdrop. Yeah. But yeah, you do have to, if you're filming in Toronto and you're supposed to be in New York, you definitely need B-roll of, give me the Empire State Building, give me the
Yep.
stuff that I recognize, give me a shot of the, Statue of Liberty. I'll take that.
Shout out to Scream 6.
Yeah, give me a shot of Central Park. Yeah, I wasn't going to reference this
bodega,
but yeah, you totally nailed it. What I was talking about. Okay, so the next thing is the music. So this is like cinematography is about visuals. This is about sound. So not only musical score or soundtrack, but also sound effects, noises, that kind of thing. The noises of the city is one thing that really kind of stood out for me. What would you rate the music or the total sound here on the 1 to 10?
As far as sound design, I thought it was okay. Had that combination, like you said, the city sounds and so forth to give you the feel, but nothing to say like it blew me away in any way. And this is before things like immersive sound with DTSX or Dolby Atmos. So you didn't get like a Santa sleigh flying over your head. So it wasn't perfect by today's standards. It couldn't be, but the soundtrack, Pennies from Heaven, Sleigh Ride, Baby It's Cold Outside, Jingle Bells. I mean, if you want a nice compilation of really cool Christmas music, get that soundtrack because it is excellent. So short of that I just mentioned, I would say it's a 9. Music here is just awesome. Sound decent.
Nice. Okay, the last category is the wild card. Since this is the holiday season, we are ranking all of these movies by a 1 to 10 based on Christmas movies. So, or holiday movies in general. But since these are all kind of based on Christmas, what would you rate this on a 1 to 10 as a Christmas movie?
This is, if you didn't say I was doing my research before, this is where I did my research. Went through several lists, Variety, Collider, Ranker, or whatever the name is, and this has landed in every top 5 holiday list that I came across. If it wasn't 1, 2, 3, it was at least 5. So for this one, for the wild card, a solid 9.
Excellent. That is what I gave it as well. Ooh, nice score. All right, so let me.
We're on the same wavelength here, cuz.
We are. Let me get a shot of that. There we go.
Until we get to it, I'm just going to keep guessing Scrooge is next. Okay. Rich has to have an opinion somewhere.
Yeah, it could be that I just scored Scrooge too high, and it may end up actually higher than you think.
You offset everything.
Because he offset Elf on me, so but no, so Caveman says, how do you think Dinklage measured up? I'm wondering if that's a short joke. I totally love him, even as an angry elf office manager.
He must be one of those
Elf is a
elves.
staple, in my opinion, for holiday viewing. It usually makes everyone's list. I completely agree with that. And I've got some pictures from the movie that I love.
Like we have t-shirts. I was gonna wear a holiday shirt tonight, but then I'm like, I'm cold. I'm not wearing a short sleeve. So it's cold in this basement. And I was like, I would wear an elf one. I have like 3 of them. I would wear an elf one.
Yeah. You should. That would have been cool.
Let me see. Maybe I'll get my wife to bring me one down. Let's see. While you're calculating there.
Yep. I'm doing my math and putting it in here. Yeah. Of course, Rich has to comment. Yeah, elf. Okay. Dell says in every top 5 and it's only a 9. You sit on a throne of lies.
Nice. Nice.
All right. I am ready. Let's go to our final scores on Elf. Coming in 5th, but not because it's necessarily a bad movie. It just ended up getting the lowest average score. But here we go. IMDb is giving this a 7.1. Rotten Tomatoes critics score 86%. Audience score 79. Rich gave it a 57. And I'm going to emphasize that 50. No. And I gave it a 73. KB, your score is an 80. And I think that's a solid score.
I'm close to the Rotten Tomatoes score.
Yeah.
The
He
average.
did give the Wild Card a 10. As a Christmas movie, he gave it a 10. That was his 110. Yeah, 57, brother.
I asked my wife to bring me down an Elf tee. She was like, "What?
No.
What do you mean? A T-shirt with Elf on it."
I was gonna say,
Will Ferrell.
Do you have Elf flavored tea? Because that would be, you might get a cup of tea, like some peppermint tea or something. Here's some Elf tea for you.
Elfin tea. That sounds like something from Lords of the Ring.
I'm thinking peppermint. I don't know why, but that's what's coming to mind when I think of Elf tea.
I'm ready for a cup of cheer while I'm down here. It's cold.
Oh boy, I tell you what. All right. Hot seat question number 2. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What is your go-to movie snack or beverage for theater and at home? And this can be holiday themed. If you do something specific for the holidays, I would love to know.
Especially this year, I've been in love with any type of chocolate with peppermint candy cane pieces on it. So think like Junior Mints has their peppermint mint. It's like crushed up pieces of candy cane on top of a Junior Mint. But truffles with peppermint pieces on it. So that's a chocolate. Got to get the chocolate in there. Typically popcorn. If I'm at the theater, there's not enough butter in the theater to put on my popcorn. If I'm at home, kettle corn. Love kettle corn.
You like a little sweetness with it. Okay.
The sweet, salty taste. Love that.
Yeah. Mika loves the tea. We had a great Hi-5 in October during our spooky month where I had Mika and Kira for Hi-5. And for the movies that they picked, I paired with a type of tea to go with the movie. And it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. It was a great episode. 57, Rich. I don't even know who you are anymore. Oh, just wait. It gets better. No. All right. So you've already guessed at what you think the number 4 movie is, because you're going to stick by Scrooged until it pops up. But let's take a look at our number 4 movie on your countdown.
You got everything you want, except the most important thing.
What's this?
A girl.
I'll get around to that one of these days.
My dear partner, when what's left of you gets around to what's left to be gotten, what's left to be gotten won't be worth getting whatever it is you've got left.
I love that line. It is White Christmas, coming in 4th place.
Incoming tea. Thank you.
Incoming
tea.
tea.
The biggest one too.
Oh, good.
It's a 2X. It'll fit perfectly over my hoodie. Continue.
Okay. All right. So, White Christmas. Bing Crosby. Danny Kaye, Rosemary Clooney. All those people.
Okay.
It's from 1954.
Yep.
Memory serves. And there we go.
Featuring a song from 1942. Number 1 song at the time, I must say.
And it worldwide, it grossed $1.1 million in the box office. Wow. I did not get a budget on it, but it was probably, I don't know, could have been 2 bits. I don't know. It could have been the budget back then. $1.1 million nowadays is probably somewhere in the neighborhood of probably 40 to 50 million in the timeline. Let's see. KB's wife for the save and
always.
win.
Always.
I have only seen White Christmas bits and pieces, and Reese's Pieces. I hope. Yeah, I'm gonna pull that down so you can totally rocking the Santa.
Yep.
This is one that's always been on our watch list. Can't wait to hear your thoughts. Love that shirt. Yeah, I do too. I do not have any Christmas shirts. I had a Christmas sweater on this morning, but it got too hot in the house for that. So, but we had my company Christmas party, and since I work remote, we were on Zoom, and I had my Christmas sweater on and antlers, and of course the Christmas trees behind me, and it was a lot of fun. Had a great time. Love this movie. Great choice. Nice shirt. And Mama Blu-ray. What's up, Mama Blu-ray?
What's up, buddy?
We watched White Christmas last night. Yep. I watched it 2 weeks ago. And I mean, I have a strong aversion to musicals. So this movie gave me nightmares, but I was able to get through it. And I've never watched this all the way through.
Yeah.
I've always, once they start breaking into song too much, I have to leave the room. I can't. It's just not my thing.
Yeah.
I was able, aside from I did have to walk away a couple times and pause and come back. I finished the movie for the first time ever, and it is good. I can't say I liked it, but it's good. And it's a solid Christmas movie.
Yeah. My whole thing is I grew up with a mother and an aunt who grew up in the MGM musicals time, and they didn't have a lot growing up. So for them, going to the cinema was like the big deal. Like, I know she must look down and say, you have all these movies. Do you cherish them? Do you treasure each one? And I'm like, yeah, I do. Because, she's thinking about the days that they would wait 6 months for a single 35 or 16 millimeter reel of movie to come to where they live. And, it was limited engagement. So if you wanted to see something, it was like a big deal. My youngest aunt still talks about going to see Dr. Zhivago. Long ass movie. But she remembers seeing that like 5 times, and that was like a privilege. So anytime they would go, they wanted to see things with high fashion and music and all that. So in turn, it's kind of like what I did to my kids, got them into it. So I could see a lot of people not seeing this or not growing up with this as like a holiday staple. It's not something that necessarily was on CBS, NBC, ABC growing up, or whatever, if you grew up in the cable age or what have you. But for me, it was like we found it. And then, once we started getting into home media, it was VHS, it was DVD, all the way up to where it is today. So,
right. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Much like your upbringing, my upbringing was all classical. So it was all orchestra music and that type of thing. So where you grew up with White Christmas and things like that, I grew up with the Nutcracker and that type of thing because of Peter and the Wolf and real, because my grandparents did everything in the orchestra, including conduct.
Wow.
My grandfather actually built me my first guitar and from scratch, and he built violins and made cellos and repaired musical instruments, but they were in a string quartet and they did all kinds of stuff. So yeah, whenever I run into a movie that has that classical style of music, even as just an undertone in the movie, it always perks me up because it just reminds me of my childhood, and I really like it.
That's awesome.
So Rich says we have 2024 months open. So if you're interested, let us know if you want to pick a month. So to jump on that, what we're doing for 2024 is we're doing theme months for the Hi-5. So we have up to June already scheduled as far as what our theme is going to be. So if you'd like to be on the Hi-5, just you can take a look at the Faces for Radio Instagram page, and there's an image with what our themes are going to be up until June. You can just pick a month. January and February are already taken, but March, April, May, and June are available. So if you want to be on the show, feel free to I am Rich or the Faces for Radio Instagram, and let us know which one you'd like to be in, and we'll put you in there.
Definitely get Mr. Tony in there.
Yeah, definitely get Mr. Tony. First 10 years of my life, I saw the black and white on one of 3 stations. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Caveman means I need to install a spit bucket next to me for musicals. I have my hands on the remote so that when I can't bear the song anymore, it's either mute or I pause and I walk out. It just really rubs me the wrong way. It's fingernails on a chalkboard for me, unfortunately. I can count on one hand.
Randomly breaking out into song.
Yeah, just randomly. I can't do it. It's like, animals that talk. I can't wrap my head around that.
Yeah.
Save a spit for me, but in the summer. Yeah, Dell has threatened to give me all musicals for Hi-5. I am going to do my best not to have a musical theme at any point, Dell. So you'll have to really be creative with your.
You'll force it in there.
He'll do it. He'll make it happen. I trust him.
He's very creative.
Yes, he is.
Say that.
All right, so let's get down to business with White Christmas. There's a little bit of a yeah. He's been trying to get me to see West Side Story, and I keep getting him to pull it out of the list. But
one of my favorites.
One of these times I'm gonna have to do it. But okay.
Yeah.
So the cast score is where this changes just a little bit. Unless you know all these characters, but by score, by recognition, this movie was out. It was definitely out before I was born, and I'm sure it was out before you were born. So you can use an automatic 4 if you only recognize 1 or 2 people. But if your score goes beyond 4, then you just score it normally.
Gotcha.
So so if you know 4 people, then we'll just go with the 8. But if you only know 2 people, then you get the 4 bonus, and it's an 8 anyway. So that gives the older movies kind of a little bit of a cushion in case we don't recognize the people because the movie's just really old.
Well, the only recognizable one was Bing Crosby, from his other movies, from his singing. Everybody else I know from this movie. Danny Kaye I know from this movie.
Right.
George's aunt I know from this movie, Rosemary Clooney. Vera Ellen, I've been fascinated with her because I don't know if you noticed, but all of her attire goes all the way up her neck, and that's because she had dysmorphia issues.
Okay.
From dancing or whatever, she was like a size 00.
Oh.
And
okay.
you could see like the strain on her neck, and anyway. So, but I only know her from this movie until I started watching other things with her, dancing and music and everything. And Dean Jagger, same thing. So, yeah, I would give it a 4. I would say in 6 because 2 for Bing and then 1 for everybody else, but it's only from this movie. So it would be a 4.
Okay. So you didn't know Bing before this movie, or?
I knew him, but he'd be the only one.
Right. So that adds to the 4. So it would be a 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect.
Okay.
Okay. So acting on a 1 to 10 here.
They didn't really have a lot to work with because, like you said, every few minutes it was just breaking out into song.
Yeah.
But I will say that the dynamics between, I'll just put it like this: the boys and the girls, the scene you showed right there was memorable, and then I would be dismayed, and my daughters would probably disown me if I didn't mention the relationship between the sisters, because that's what they loved the most about the movie, from the song to just the way they were there for each other and everything. So I'm going to give it a 7. And I know that's kind of high based on everything, but everything else balances out as we go along.
Okay. All right. So let's go to the plot. We're going to read the synopsis from IMDb and see if they don't butcher this movie. Here it says, a successful song and dance team become romantically involved with a sister act and team up to save the failing Vermont inn of their former commanding general.
So you have intrigue of the war, you have romance, and there's going to be dancing and singing. So just based on the plot, I gave it a 7.
All right. So the ending. What did you think of the ending here?
The ending, well, you kind of wait almost the whole movie to hear like the song, which is what brought people to the theater. People, like I said, for almost a decade before the movie came out, they were in love with the song. It was the number one song, like on the top whatever for years. So, people waited for that. And of course, the romance that was involved. So I pushed it up to an 8.
Okay. Yeah, Dell says he knows Danny Kaye from an episode of The Cosby Show where he played Dennis.
Yes.
I do remember that.
This movie was in my life before Cosby Show for sure, though.
Yep. I knew I knew Danny Kaye from The Music Man. Again, this goes to, it kind of crossed the classical upbringing.
Yeah.
Because of because of the orchestra and the marching band and all that kind of stuff. So I did see that beforehand, but I couldn't remember his name, but I knew him by face. So yeah, I ended up going 7 for the cast because I knew Bing Crosby and I knew of Danny Kaye, but I couldn't remember his name. So
yeah,
so
I saw
that's
The
where
Music Man after this, so kind of like a flip there.
Yep. So I'm sorry, ending you went with an 8, right?
Yes.
That's all. I didn't put it on there. Okay, story.
This is where I got a little more critical. I'll just push it out and say I gave it a 7.
Okay.
There were ups, downs. Because of the time, there was what I like to call a minstrel performance in there. That made sure it doesn't get anything higher than a 7. It almost got a 4. But like I tell my kids this, you can't look at a plot of a movie in the 70s and say, oh, I would have just used my cell phone or blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Didn't exist.
Yeah.
You have to take things for the time. Didn't make it right in the time, but it made it standard.
Right.
And that word is, it irates me because the things that we standardize in different times, but it is what it is.
Yep. Okay, now for the script.
Let's see. I didn't write this one down. No, I wrote down my score. I didn't write down who wrote it. Oh, so it was a combination of people. That's why.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just gonna put it out there.
I have the Normans and the Melvin.
Yeah. That's a good way to wrap it up. I gave it a 7.
Okay. All right. And the visuals. What did you think of the visuals here on a 1 to 10?
As much as they try to make it larger than it appeared to be, it was typical soundstage fare. I guess this was a Paramount movie. Yes, I'm looking at my DVD here. So Paramount soundstage, nothing special, just standard fare of the time. So I went right down the middle and gave it a 5. Okay.
All right. And direction. So Michael Curtis is the director here. With such works as Casablanca, Captain Blood, Mildred Pierce, The Adventures of Robin Hood, etc., etc. He definitely
has a few heavy hitters in his arsenal.
Yeah, he's got some slam dunks in here.
Yeah, but
so what would you rate this?
I think some of them were like warm-ups to what White Christmas became, and in a lot of cases not as strong as what probably his work in the early 40s, the Casablanca times, the Mildred Pierce times, Angels with Dirty Faces, things like that. So I rated it low. I gave it a 6 because it's like the kid bringing home a C. I know you could do better. I've seen you do better. So yeah, I just gave this one a 6 here.
Okay. All right. music. So what did you think of the sounds here? Is it a 10 for you?
No.
No. Okay.
And it's because of that
Now let's
one
talk.
mental act. But short of that,
Okay.
the Irving Berlin song and all the other ones, like I said, my daughters love the Sisters Act. With the exception of that, I would say it's excellent. So just a little knockoff for that performance. So I gave it a 9.
Okay.
It's right there though. It's right there. There's a song that Rosemary Clooney does. It's basically a Love Done Me Wrong song. And we're not talking about visuals as far as costume design, but she wears this evening dress that's like black velvet with like this big diamond penchant right on her lower back. I dare not say her ass, but it's like right there. And it's sultry, and it's like something that a woman could sing today and have the same effect. And it just fits well with the storyline and everything. That's the one thing about musicals. Don't just sing some random song because you're trying to express yourself. Let it fit with not only the scene, but what's going on with the plot. And I think that's like the best example in a movie that does that.
Okay. The last thing is the wild card. So how would you rate this on a 1 to 10 as a Christmas movie?
9. And that's mostly my nostalgia of it. You know, I'm working on 3 generations, because my parents, my mom, my aunt introduced it to me. I introduced it to my kids. It's to the point there's a like a Big Feather, that same Sisters song that they do, and they're waving around these big feathers, and my girls are trying to convince each other, like, let's get a sister tattoo of just like the big feather thing. And I'm like, you guys love this movie that much? And they're like, yeah. I was like, well, I did it to you. So yeah, 9 for a holiday movie.
All right. Well, Evan showed up. Thank you, Evan, for being here. He says Danny Kaye was wasted on this movie. The music was in older movies before this. I really did not enjoy White Christmas.
Yeah, it was.
Sorry, KB, I came in hot. My mom loves this movie.
It was in a sense a collection of standards for its time, but the ones that were made for the movie kind of balance it out, I would say. Yeah, it could have, the direction could have been better, but like I said, it's has Christmas in the title. That's always a good thing. But then you have Black Christmas as a alternate.
You also have Black Christmas.
But yeah, I just grew up with this movie, so it's when I think holiday movies,
that is where
exactly
not having the right song for the right scene. Exactly right. You
need more than Elizabeth Berkley.
She says hopefully I can get to it this month. It'd be good to watch it for Christmas. I think it's interesting, and I'm actually really surprised at how close our scores are on this one. Okay. So let's go to our final scores on White Christmas, coming in 4th place, you guys. IMDb is giving this a 7.6. Rotten Tomatoes critic score 77%. Audience score 88%. Rich gave it a 68. I gave it a 70. KB, your score is 71.
We're all within the same range. I mean, it averages out.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
And Kal-El is in the house. Hello, Superman. Good to see you, my friend. Merry Christmas. Same to you, my friend. I really appreciate you guys being here. It's I'm glad we've got 10 on, and also want to acknowledge my oldest son, Eric, who gave us a like on Facebook. Thank you, son. I love you so much. There's my Superman. Caveman and Superman. All right. So moving on to hot seat question number 3. Until Dell said something, Caveman Showgirls never went wrong. How could you say I see nipples are wrong?
Dell's making me want to break out my vinegar syndrome tonight.
Oh, man. And Brian is here. What's up, Brian? Here for the top 3 again. Yep, regular as clockwork, my friend. All right. So hot seat question number 3. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Besides the movies in your Hi-5, what's one movie you could watch on repeat right now? Now, this is holiday themed. So what Christmas movie, aside from these 5, could you watch on repeat right now?
I'm going to pull up my list here because last year our friend Tim Talks Talkies did a top 25 holiday movies. So I'm looking to see what's in there. Home Alone is in there. Gremlins is in there. I'm going down the list. I will have to say Rudolph. Once again, something I grew up with.
The classic, the claymation one with the
claymation one with Hermie, my favorite Christmas character of all time.
Yep.
Super misunderstood. It's familiar. It's either that or the Grinch. I like to
Which
see
Grinch?
myself as being original, cartoon, animated one, not the Jim Carrey one or anything like that.
One, not the Cumberbatch one.
No, not the Illumination one.
Yeah.
Original, you're a mean one, Mr. Grinch.
Good.
So
nice.
One of those, just because, we're talking 4+ decades of watching that. So yeah.
Yep. Want to say greetings, Steve. Thank you so much for being here. Santa Claus Conquers the Martians, I guess, is Dell's pick. So much so he said it twice. Original Grinch for the win. There's Cave. Rudolph, good pick. Nice. Dell, everybody's saying hey. It's weird. My go-to, and it's kind of weird because it's kind of a musical, but it's also animated. So I tend to let those slide when they're animated, even with talking dogs and whatever. But Polar Express is my it's my one to watch on repeat. I don't know why. Every fiber in my being says I shouldn't like that movie.
Yeah. I can't get into it.
I watch it every time. I can't. I'm just glued to it.
Wow.
Maybe I like Hot Chocolate a lot because that song, I just love that song in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And Tom Hanks, he doesn't really do a great job in it, but because you can tell he's got most of the voices in there for the adults, but it's just
creepy looking to me. I don't know.
Maybe that's
animation is creepy.
Horror movies for Christmas. I love the horror movies, so maybe that's it. Maybe it's creepy looking, and that's what I like. KB, can you please help me download the correct Grinch movie? Well, if it's by the picture you put on Instagram, you did not download the right Grinch movie.
Some people will tell you have the correct Grinch movie.
I was going to say, but you could give me the address to that site, and
give me the link to that one. We could exchange.
We could exchange that. Prep and Landing and Muppets Christmas Carol are my favorites. All right, Evan.
Yeah, I would say the Muppets Christmas Carol is the best example of a Christmas Carol. The most accurate, I would say, which you would think there are Muppets in it, but really it captures the story.
Yeah, I do like the story of A Christmas Carol. I liked Patrick Stewart's rendition. I thought that was really good. But yeah, I'm not too much of a fan of the animated one. I did like the Muppets Christmas Carol, and I agree. I think that's the most accurate to the book, which is odd to say, but I guess it makes sense. All right. Speaking of A Christmas Carol, it is time for number 3. And I think we all know now what the number 3 movie is. So let's check this out.
Only Lee Majors can stop them. In the night the reindeer died. Be here.
You can't show that commercial. That thing looked like the Manson family Christmas special.
I think I'm way off base.
Yes, you're a tad off base, sir.
So Scrooged comes in third with your Hi-5, and I like this movie. I enjoy it. It's hilarious. It's stupid. It's funny. And I just, major props to Carol Kane.
The best part of the movie.
She's my favorite. Best part. She beats the holy guacamole out of him, and I love it. Speaking of which, I just
there she is.
She did such an amazing job, and
Oh my
and of
gosh.
course, I like the creepy stuff, so that was a
Yeah.
plus for me. So Mika says Scrooge. That's right. So KB, what is it about Scrooged? What's the fascination with that? Why did you pick it?
Despite what I just said about Muppets Christmas Carol being the most accurate, I like twisted tellings of stories that everybody thinks they know. So if there's keeping with the theme of horror, if there's a horror movie with vampires and they think, oh, garlic or a crucifix, and it doesn't work, I love that, because it's like just taking all those tropes and saying they're worth jack.
Yeah.
That doesn't really work here. So just at the time, a modern day telling, and I'll just keep qualifying like that, because time was not kind to this movie, but
No.
I'm old enough that I get the jokes. I remember who Mary Lou Retton was before she turned up in the news recently. I was someone who laughed at Bobcat's jokes back in the day. So all around, it was just something of its time. And when I watch it, it's like the jokes flash me back to that time. And even more so because I'm an adult now versus when that came out. So
yeah, I agree. So yeah, this is from 1988, and it had a budget of $32 million, made 60.3 million in the box office worldwide. So just about double, not quite enough to really make too much of a profit out of it. But still not too bad. And yeah, this, I'm 53 years old, but my 5-year-old brain just went crazy when this started playing, and I was giggling and laughing and snorting and making all kinds of weird noises. But hey, it's got Lee Majors, and that's right. He's he's related to me. It's in some fashion. But I know he's on my family tree somewhere. Like a second cousin or something. But which is weird. You'd think it'd be Rob Lowe or Chad Lowe, but no, I'm not related to those Lows. I'm related to Lee Majors for some reason. Best scene with Carol Kane. I loved Carol Kane in this.
Yes.
Have either of you seen My Blue Heaven? That sounds familiar. I think I have. I can't recall it off the top of my head, but the title rings a bell. Not a Christmas bell though. But I do think I've seen it. Carol Kane stole the scene she was in. Yeah, she absolutely did.
Best part.
I would have been so happy if she did all three ghosts and did the whole thing. Yeah. I would have loved it if she did all the work. It would have been so funny.
Yeah. If he was like, you again, and then it was like a different variation of her character, that would have been perfect.
Yeah. All right, so let's get with the scores on Scrooged. What would you say about the cast on a 1 to 10?
Okay, so you have the guy from Ghostbusters and Little Shop of Horrors. He even makes a reference to that. Feed me, Seymour.
Yeah.
You got the lady from Raiders.
Right.
You got Charlie from Charlie's Angels. You got Bobcat Goldthwait, and the way we just mentioned Carol Kane over and over. So I'm fine. I said if I'm doing Hi-5, I gotta give at least one perfect score. So here's my 10. Cast is a 10 because it's past that. Funny enough, Robert Mitchum was in Cape Fear, the original and the remake. I watched that the night before I watched Scrooge. I was like, hey, 2 nights of Robert Mitchum in a row. So even past the initial principal characters, there were people that were recognizable and good in their roles. Even minor roles. You had Miles Davis. Hello.
Right. Well, you had Lee Majors for that short.
Majors, yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. Alfre Woodard. That's a great example. Alfre Woodard got a little part in here. Bobcat Goldthwait, not a big part, but he's in there in a couple scenes.
Scene stealer though.
Yeah, definitely. I remember looking at the person who drove the cab.
Buster Poindexter.
Yeah. And I was just like, oh, I know who that is. And I kept going Elvis Costello. And I'm like, no, that's not it. Yeah, Buster Poindexter, he was the cab driver. I liked him in this too. So yeah, that ended up getting a point. But yeah, this was my 10 on cast as well. Real easy to recognize him, from so many previous films.
Yeah.
And so getting to the acting, what would you give the acting on a 1 to 10 here?
Well, the one thing that Richard Donner did was he let Bill Murray have fun with this. So there's a lot of improvisation and so forth, but everybody else had to stick to the script. So
Right.
it wasn't like a free for all, but sometimes sometimes it's good to stick to the script. I mean, even Bobcat Goldthwait, he had to stick to the script. I think if they let him get a little more free reign, it might have been better. So, but I gave it an 8 still.
Okay, good.
I gave it an 8. It made me laugh.
Nice. Yeah, made me laugh too. All right, let's go to the plot. Let's see what IMDb does to this. And it was nominated for an Oscar in '89 for best makeup, if I'm not mistaken. Didn't win, but I could see that there were some good makeup designs.
Yeah, just what they did with John Forsythe to make him
with
look.
John Forsythe, yeah, with the
and then
putting that plaster of Paris on his face, and what they did with Death, I thought that was really nice.
Yeah, that was really dark right there, but it was good because that was what the scene was supposed to emulate. So definitely good.
All right, so IMDb synopsis says, a selfish, cynical television executive is haunted by 3 spirits bearing lessons on Christmas Eve.
I gave it a 7, and main thing is because it's hard to modernize classics successfully, and just by them putting TV executive in the description leads you to believe, it's not going to be like England turn of the century. Yeah. But I just gave it a 7.
Yeah. Nice. What did you think of the ending?
The ending looked like a party I would have enjoyed being at. And you add Annie Lennox and Al Green would put a little love in your heart. We're going to talk about music, but to me that was a highlight right there. And then he's still like freestyling and improvising during the credits, talking to the audience, saying lines from other movies. So getting audience participation, breaking the fourth wall kind of thing. So I gave it a 9 just because that's usually when you're getting up and leaving. But just like with the end of Ferris Bueller coming back and everything like that, any breaking of the fourth wall that's clever and doesn't seem forced, I'm a sucker for that. So yeah, I gave that a 9.
Yeah, great. That's awesome. All right, what do you think of the story?
The story is as old as time. So I just gave it an 8 because I mean it was kind of like a known story, but also modernizing it for the time. Once again, it is now dated, even though at the time it was fresh and up to date, with giving a VCR versus a bath towel and things like that. So it's an 8. Today it's an 8. Back then, 88, 90, it would probably have been closer to a 10.
Yeah. Yeah, I liked it in the day because it was a fresh take on a classic story, and Bill Murray was really kind of in his prime at that point. It was
after a break too. He took a break from acting and then came back and hit this
back
one
and just nailed this. Yeah, it was. But yeah, it was. You could tell that he was able to have free reign when he was doing the stuff, and it made sense to have the other people stick to the script because that kind of pulled him back to the story, so he didn't go way off. But yeah, no, I agree with that. It was good.
It made it so that everybody around him was like the straight. Even Carol Kane, as funny as her performance is, she's sincere about what she's doing in her role.
Yeah, it really had nothing to do with the physical that she was doing. That was, she was telling him, based on the script, exactly what was happening as she hit him in the face with a toaster. So, and I love that. That was so good. All right, so script. What would you give the script here on a 1 to 10?
Who
wrote this thing again? Mitch Glazer, Michael O'Donoghue, and Charles Dickens, because of course it's based on the original classic.
Yeah. Script I went with 8 just because I mean it's taken from a great classic story, and once again with modernizing it is probably what Glazer and O'Donoghue did their part on, but it brought the right amount of comedy. And I think even if he didn't go over the top and improvise and everything like that, it still would have been funny with delivering the message. And I think the scenes where it was supposed to be heartfelt were. So, yeah, I mean, there were a few things that kind of dropped the ball here and there. Not so much as plot, but more like, oh, that one didn't land. But then the next 5 did, and it made you forget about the one who didn't land. So
Right.
It's a solid 8.
All right. That's good. Okay. Visuals. What'd you think of the visuals here on a 1 to 10?
There's another example of taking good old New York City hometown as a character itself, but more internal. A lot of interior shots, a lot of studio soundstage shots, whether it's the office or the soundstage that they're actually on. So a little meta right there, which I thought was clever, but nothing special. So I went with a 6. I kind of dipped right there.
Yeah. I gave a bonus for the Oscar nod for makeup because that was a visual. I did like the makeup design and things like. I ended up going with an 8, but I felt the same way. It was really pretty basic, nothing to write home about. But then the costumes and the makeup, and that's kind of where I gave that 2-point bump to. Because I liked how they did Death, and I liked Carol Kane with all the glitter, and how they did John Forsythe with all the. I still call it plaster of Paris. He had like paste all over him, and he looked like he was paper mache. And it was great. Green screen shots were actually really good for the time. I agree with that. There's some really good green screen shots, but yeah, the other thing is it's dated now, so it's really. I had to put myself back. Like, how did I feel about it back then? Before its time, as opposed to the technology we have now, because it wouldn't even come close to stacking up. But I still think the makeup is pretty good even today.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay,
effects always hold up.
Yep. So direction. This is a Richard Donner film.
Yes, it is.
From Lethal Weapon fame, Superman, Lady Hawk,
Goonies,
16 Blocks, Conspiracy Theory, Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah. Oh wow, forgot about that.
Yeah, I mean he's got a body of work.
Yeah,
I mean it's not Casablanca and stuff, but it's some pretty solid stuff. What would you rate his direction here on a 1 to 10?
Funny enough, I rated it just a 7.
Okay.
Which, I mean, it's passable, but once again, it's something where we've seen him do better. I mean, there was actually a Donner cut of Superman 2. I bought the box set just to have an updated version besides my DVD of the Donner cut. Yeah. So, I mean, and this is, in a way, it's not fair because I'm comparing his other work to this. Not necessarily his work in this, but I didn't think he really had to do a lot. You have a solid cast. They're just gonna take minimal direction and
here you go.
They're gonna take minimal direction and knock it out the park. So I don't think he had to do that much as far as with the actors and everything else. I don't know.
Yeah, everybody knows the story, and nobody really needs to know what their direction is.
Yeah, nobody's asking what my motivation is here.
What's my motive? You're Scrooge. That's what it is. And you're Bob Cratchit, and you're the ghost of Christmas Past. Come on, you know how this works. Just make it fun. That's all I want. So yeah, I Rich and I both gave it a 7 as well for the direction because same reason. It's not it's not his best stuff, but he really didn't have to do a lot, and it wasn't his fault.
No,
because it's a tried and true story. all he had to do was just kind of, keep them all in the same time zone and not let anybody stray too far, mainly Bill, and then put it together and make a movie. So
Pretty much.
this is probably an easy job for him, but it's still pretty decent. Editing was pretty good. I didn't have any problems with it. It wasn't spectacular direction wise, but
exactly,
it didn't need to be. Yes, with the cast agreed that minimal direction is needed. Master level of actors here. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, music. So what did you think of the music here?
Well, I already mentioned the closing song with Annie Lennox and Al Green, which that's like soul on soul right there. But also Miles Davis doing We Three Kings. Other songs, Mel Torme doing a standard. Can't beat that, with Natalie Cole. Hello. Singing her dad's famous song, the Christmas song, which is my favorite song of all the holiday songs. I am, how some people are superstitious, they might wear the same socks, same shorts before a game thing. I will not properly listen to the Christmas song, some of you call it chestnuts roasting on the open fire, until Christmas morning. If I hear it on the radio, I switch it. If it comes up on the iPhone, I shuffle it. I don't want to hear it.
I was gonna say I've got my Seahawks socks on right now because my Seahawks are playing tonight.
I didn't even look at the score, but tough competition.
I don't think they're gonna win, but I'm a Seahawks fan, tried and true. So I'm not, but I always wear the socks or a shirt or a hat or something Seahawks related when I know they're playing.
True 12th man.
Yeah. But point the camera, say action, cut, and go home. That's all he had to do.
Grab the bag.
All right. So did you give me a score for music?
7.
7. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Like it. And then wild card, what would you give this as a Christmas movie?
Originally I said a 9, but I'm going to cut it back to an 8. It's a solid holiday movie, but if you said give me like 10 movies and these are only 10 that you could watch for the holidays, it might upset some people, but I would grab Die Hard before this.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
I don't know, but it still makes me laugh, and it's just the nostalgia behind it and being able to get all the jokes. If I sat down with my kids or someone who's younger and try to make them laugh, probably wouldn't land as well. They'd be like, "Who's that?"
Are you still streaming? No.
Yes, I am.
You are?
Yeah.
Oh, on
We're still live.
channel. Sorry.
Yeah.
Bye. No.
No, you could come down.
I just wanted her to see the basement.
Sure. You could put on the light too. I'm good. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
About to get brighter in here.
If somebody wants to be on camera, they're welcome to be on camera.
You could say hi to Sir Alfred. We could continue.
Yeah. But anyway, I think I got that. So yeah, let me load that. But yeah, this Scrooged it's a fun Christmas movie, and this would be like, if I, it wouldn't. I agree with you. It wouldn't be on my top list to watch for the holiday. But if I was like, you know what, I want to put in just a couple of comedies, just have some fun at Christmas, and sometimes I'll do it. And I'll usually go Scrooged and Christmas Vacation, and then maybe one other one, whatever pops into my head. Probably another one of the movies that we're going to talk about tonight.
That's what I was thinking.
But yeah, definitely Die Hard over Scrooged for me too.
All right, Brian.
He says he'd grab Die Hard 2 before Scrooge.
Okay, Del.
All right, Die Harder.
Ooh, no.
Long Kiss
Hey, man,
Goodnight.
got it. Long Kiss Goodnight. Little Sam Jackson in your life.
Yeah, I love Long Kiss Goodnight.
I need to cop a copy of it. I thought I had it on DVD, but it grew legs and walked away. So I need to get a new copy of it for the library.
I have the Blu-ray of it, and it's one of my wife's favorites.
Yeah, it's a good reason to upgrade because I can't find my DVD. So I'll probably just grab the Blu-ray.
Just grab that Blu-ray. Yeah, Dell loves Long Kiss Goodnight too. Yeah.
Oh, good.
My Gina Davis, my favorite Gina Davis movie.
Yeah. I
And-
keep
and
saying
that's including The Fly.
she has her film festival down in Arkansas every year. And I have family down there. I keep saying I'm going to go down there one year just to hang out. I could probably meet her if I really wanted to, because I have connections with the film festival people. But yeah, I think it'll be a cool time. I'm getting more into festivals. I was supposed to go to TIFF this year, but COVID. You know, we had our own thing here, Panic Fest. I'm looking forward to that again. Nope, wrong side. This side, yeah. So I'm returning to that in 2024, and I'm looking forward to another one. Maybe I'll do TIFF in 2024. You know, if everything goes right, I would love to do that. Yeah, Mika, you got that right.
Yeah. That's fun. Such a good movie. All right, let's go to our final scores on Scrooged, coming in third place. Here we go. IMDb is giving this a 6.9. Rotten Tomatoes critics and audience score 71. Rich gave it a 63. I gave it a 77. KB, your score is 78. So there,
So you guys average right around a 70. So I just went a little high, but everyone seems to average like a 70, 71 there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you and I are one number apart. So
yeah,
I went 77. I give that one a little high for me because of the nostalgia of watching the first time. I still get those memories back. But yeah, I can see how a younger generation wouldn't feel the same about this one. Long Kiss Goodnight is available in a triple pack Blu-ray and standalone. Thank you, Caveman.
He's good for that. Thank you always for your pointing us to where something is streaming or where something is available. I was saying before that Best Buy ran out of the Point Break steelbooks, and mine arrived dented and messed up. And somebody responded in the comments and said, "Hey, they just got a new batch in, you know, order quickly." And I was like, "Thank you, whoever you are." So,
yep, get it.
Yeah, I already put in the order, and I'll just return the other one.
Nice. Yeah, knock on wood. Mine came in good condition. Even though the Best Buy box had no packing material in it. It was just a box and the steelbook bouncing around.
Yeah,
but
hate
thank
that.
goodness it doesn't, you know, yeah. Dell has the standalone. Yep, me too. I believe. All right. We have 2 more movies and we have 2 more hot seat questions. Are you ready?
Ready when you are.
Right. Hot seat question number 4. Who would be on your Mount Rushmore of actors and actresses? So 4 actors and or actresses. You just put 4 together, whoever you want. And again, it doesn't have to be holiday themed for this one, but you can do holiday theme if you want. But who are the 4 that you would just watch if you knew that they were going to be in it? You would absolutely see the movie.
I was thinking about this the other day. The 2 that are always up there as far as actors, and I was actually thinking this year I did upgrading all the Scorsese filmography, and I was thinking about doing this person, or at least starting their filmography next year, is Mr. Denzel Washington.
That's my number 1.
Yeah, he's just I watch Macbeth with him. Come on. Let's be real. So, and Mr. De Niro. I'm a big fan of Mr. De Niro. So, whether it's old stuff like Taxi Driver, all his work with Scorsese, Cape Fear is a nice departure that not enough people talk about. As far as actresses, man, it is hard to be anything that actually, where is it? Oh, I don't have it nearby. So I love Meryl Streep, so I'll just put that out there as one of the actresses. But when I think of movies like Doubt, or I don't know, she was in one scene and she stole the scene, and that's Miss Viola Davis. I just like anything that she's in because it's just like solid all around. Although I'm never big on TV work. Like if I get into a show, it's because it's popular and just want to know what people are talking about. Water cooler shows is what I call them,
Right.
whether it's Seinfeld or Game of Thrones or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The Wire, that was another one. Sopranos. So I've never seen How to Get Away with Murder, but
Me neither.
most of her movies I've seen or own just because she's just solid. And if you notice, the first thing that I brought up was Doubt, just because I think she's in it for like 11 minutes total.
Mhm.
Steals the whole thing. This year, Air, that performance as Michael Jordan's mother just
Yeah.
just stole the movie for me. And I think that's part of the reason it's probably going to be on my top 10 list, just because of her performance. And I heard that's the only way he okayed the movie being made was
Mhm.
if she got to play his mother. So
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Dell says Viola snot bubbles for the win.
Yes, she's good with those.
Viola was great in the Jesse Stone series of movies. Right. That's the Tom Selleck ones, right?
I heard she's in Hunger Games, so I gotta go and check that out.
Oh, yeah, she was in Songbirds and Snakes.
Yeah.
And I gotta tell you, that's
Same
that's
thing?
a rare performance from her. It was
Really?
yeah, she was very creepy. I liked
Mm.
it.
Yeah.
But
I think I have everything that she's in one way or another.
yeah.
Get Rich or Die Trying, Prisoners, Get On Up, Suicide Squad, Fences, Widows.
Widows. I
I
love Widows.
I have a
I
screener of Ma Rainey, so yeah, I pretty much have everything except
yeah, The
the new
Help.
stuff.
Oh my goodness, she's just amazing. I absolutely love her.
Mhm.
And I even Ender's Game. It was a horrible movie, but she
Yeah.
absolutely steals it.
Yeah.
And
That's
I
on the
just
kids shelf over there.
I liked it. I like that too. And uh, boy, I did the movie swap with Dell,
Mhm.
and he had me watch Fences, and I'd never seen that before with her and Denzel together. Ugh, the acting is just
Powerful.
so good. Uh,
Powerful.
yeah, he needs a physical copy of Ma Rainey.
We all do. That screener is not I have certain screeners that, from doing movie reviews and all that, we get copies like around this time. And there's certain ones I never let go of. Like I never thought we would get Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, a physical copy.
And that's coming.
So they released coffee table book. Ooh, my New York accent just came out. You heard that? You heard the coffee?
The coffee table. Yeah, I got
Coffee table book.
Yeah.
Of course, a Blu-ray of the screener and a pop. So I have a Funko Pop of Pinocchio from Guillermo del Toro somewhere around here.
Nice. Yeah, Doubt.
Must be
Doubt
on that
was a great
side.
performance for Viola. Yeah, Viola Davis was in Doubt too.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
certain screeners I just they say you're supposed to destroy it or whatever. I put it away.
Yeah, I do still have some screeners from my my video store days, but
Mhm.
yeah, those are just, on the occasion that I want to, but a lot of those are the really B horror movie stuff that
Stuff you
I
can't easily find.
they were like, here, just keep it. And I was like, okay, just keep it. All right, we've got 2 more movies left. Which one do you think has the number 2 spot tonight? Okay. All right, let's take a look at what our number 2 movie is.
Police in the northern suburbs are on the lookout for a pair of burglars who are calling themselves the Wet Bandits.
We know that you're in there.
It's Santa Claus and his elf.
Get off my property.
This is my house. I have to defend it.
So Home Alone comes in second place, and I believe this one too. This was my number 1 pick.
Where's Dell? This is Dell's favorite movie.
This was my number 1 pick, and I was like, no, but yeah, Rich really killed the bell curve on this one for me.
It's all
but
good.
this was the one that I caught my daughter watching it with my granddaughter, and I ended up having to go in there and watch it with them, and it was just an amazing time. And
That's awesome.
it was really funny. Merry Christmas, you filthy animals. That's right.
Yeah.
And you should be happy because that means it isn't number one. Love Home Alone. Yeah,
I'm just letting you know from now that this is going to be a high scoring one for me.
I am okay with that. And speaking of scoring, so what, I mean, I think we know, but what was is this like your favorite all time? What was the basis for picking this one?
It's just well done. And over the years, you hear things. Recently Netflix had that series where they kind of went behind the scenes on how a movie got made, and they did everything from RoboCop to Nightmare on Elm Street. A lot of my favorites. And when I heard the story of Home Alone and all the problems and how part of the movie was filmed in a high school gymnasium and having to build sets over and over in different places and just shuttling it between movie studios and almost getting shelved. And I mean, kids love this, adults love this. It's slapstick. It's a little bit of old school kind of Three Stooges comedy.
Yeah, Keystone Cops. Yeah,
Yeah. And there are people that say this is what would happen to the two burglars if all those things really happen in real life. We don't care.
We don't care.
We don't care. We're just here for the hijinks.
The laws of physics do not matter.
No.
This is a comedy. This is not. It's basically it's two steps to the left of being a Roadrunner Coyote cartoon.
Yeah.
Because all this stuff happens to him. You might as well just had Acme on the side of the van when they pulled up. That would have been perfect. So this movie is from 1990, had a budget of $18 million, made $476.6 million in the box office. And you can't get by without that. And that. But yeah, I gotta say the rewatch on this was my most enjoyable rewatch. And it's been a while since I've seen it. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll watch that when I get a chance, but I remember it because I maybe saw it 5 years ago, but I remember everything about it because I've seen it probably 20 or 30 times.
Yeah.
But as soon as my daughter put it on and I went out there and watched it with her, and it was one of the most enjoyable experiences I've had in the last couple of weeks. Just sitting there with two generations of my family and both enjoying the movie. My 4-year-old granddaughter just loved it. She was laughing all the time every time they fell. She thought that was the funniest thing.
Yeah.
So
I watched it on
I
Saturday
like Kevin way better when he grows up and becomes Jigsaw. I would pay for that storyline. I would pay to watch that movie.
I watched it on Saturday with my wife, and she said that they should make an updated version where Kevin is the adult. And there's a line where he says that when he gets married, when he grows up and gets married, he's going to live alone. So it should have him being alone and basically having like different things happen to him or bring back the characters or whatever. Like they finally got out of jail situation.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Brian,
it's just something you could turn on. That's what I like about it.
Yeah. Now he always wants to play a game. But it's funny because I literally saw it was one of those fan fiction trailers or something where it has him as an adult, and I think he took part in this because it looked like him.
Mm-hmm.
And he the two guys, the bandits, they get out of jail and they're going after him, and he goes, this time I'm not playing. Just guns and all kinds of stuff, and it was like, oh, okay, I'd pay to see that. That would be a good movie. So yeah, if anybody wants to do that, I am so in.
Keep the change, build the animal.
Yep. But Yeah, no, this was my top one out of the group, and I just think it's and it kind of brought an epiphany in mind where you have every 10 years there's one movie that becomes the kind of Christmas classic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Home Alone was really that for the 90s for
Yep.
me. And then, Elf was probably the one for the 2000s, and then you have like A Christmas Story for the 80s, and and then 70s, and then going back. But
Yeah.
it was really interesting because I'm like, okay, is there another 90s Christmas movie that I would pick over this? And I can't think of one.
Mm-mm.
So let's get to the scores. What would you give the cast here on a 1 to 10 based on recognition?
I have to redo this because am I judging it from when I first saw it or now?
When you first saw it.
Okay, of course I didn't know Macaulay Culkin.
Right.
I didn't know Joe Pesci or Daniel Stern because what was this? So 90, I was not into Scorsese movies yet, so I would not have seen Raging Bull, which would probably be the only place I would know him from at that time. Yeah, because Goodfellas followed. John Hurd, Catherine O'Hara would probably be the only one, and that's only because of Beetlejuice.
Right.
So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I would like to say 10 because I know them all today, but in actuality at the time, 6.
Right. I was right along those lines too.
Mm-hmm.
But I did, I knew Macaulay Culkin by face. I knew the cute little boy, but I didn't know his name.
Yeah.
And then, from Beetlejuice, yeah, I knew Catherine O'Hara, and yeah, totally same page on that. So yeah, I ended up like 7, I think. But yeah. Okay, so acting. What would you think of the acting here?
Acting, I gave it an 8 here. Child actors, animals, never easy. And I would say and this also kind of speaks into direction too. The pandemonium of the opening scene is so well done. It's choreographed so well. And then the little interactions that you get along the way, that's a benefit of cast, B actors included, everybody, but it's also in part to the direction. So I gave it an 8 to be solid because after a while you really reduce the amount of people in it down to like the main characters.
Down to those 3, yeah.
Yeah, and John Candy, rest in peace.
John Candy. Yeah, John Candy, rest in peace. Right. I liked him in this. And in that, it just reminded me, in that trailer, the person who plays Buzz in this movie was in that trailer, and he was like a full-on cop.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really funny.
Nice.
The
That
fight
makes
over
sense.
pizza was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It's a must-watch.
Order more cheese pizza.
And Dell says Batman Returns is better than Home Alone.
If you
I know,
consider
I like
Batman Returns a Christmas movie.
I like
which I
Batman
do.
Returns. That's not a bad Christmas movie. Good choice, Dell. I'm sure you were saying something bad about that. All right, so let's go to the plot and read the synopsis on Home Alone from IMDb. It says an 8-year-old troublemaker mistakenly left home alone must defend his home against a pair of burglars on Christmas Eve.
I know if I read this, it would come off more as Dennis the Menace than,
Exactly.
than like, you can't do anything for yourself. You would die if you were in the house alone kind of thing. And then the turn of the plot. But I still gave it an 8 because it's intriguing. It's intriguing enough to capture my attention. Sorry, Del.
Jingle All the Way is greater than Home Alone.
No Turbo Man in this one.
No Turbo Man. And yes, Die Hard 2 is greater than Home Alone. No, I have a strange guilty pleasure with Jingle All the Way. I liked it. It's not in my top 5, but I like it. It cracks me up. Speaking of being cracked up, what did you think of the ending?
pulls on the heartstrings because
Mhm.
all of a sudden you get the snotty kid with
Mm.
the attitude, and the mother who seems a little despondent and rude in a sense, and then everything is turned, and
Mhm.
cue up the John Williams score, and the violins are pulling at your heartstrings.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a solid 9 for me.
Yep.
That's a 9 right there.
Yep.
It does what it's supposed to do.
Yep. It's a Christmas movie. It's supposed to make you happy at the end. Yeah, totally. You nailed that one. All right, story. What did you think of the story?
The story, because it includes like all the hijinks in the third act and everything like that. That alone makes it an 8, just because it relies on physical comedy.
Mhm.
And like I said, it calls back to, like you said, the Keystone Cops, the Three Stooges, all that time, even
Yeah.
like a little bit of like Buster Keaton.
I was Buster Keaton. Yeah, the general that comes
Yeah.
to mind. Charlie Chaplin stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So
sure.
it requires a great deal of physical comedy. And
Mhm.
if you think about it, at the time, like late 80s, early 90s, not something you saw in every movie. That was more like early 80s, and prior to that in the 70s and so forth. But it was more like you lunkhead and somebody hitting you over the head, not an iron falling on your face.
Yeah, or a paint can, and
And another
fly
paint can.
another paint can. Oh, Huck's here. What's up, Huck?
Huckster and Mega Mike.
Mega Mike is in the house. What is up, my friends? Good to see you.
Yep.
And saying hey to everybody. Good. Love it. Glad you guys are here. We are just about to talk about the script. So what did you think of the script here, KB, on a 1 to 10?
It seems like I'm going across the board, but I'm also going here with an 8.
Mhm.
It's John Hughes. Come on.
John Hughes, right? It's like
It's John Hughes. Another RIP, unfortunately, but it's
right.
John Hughes.
John Hughes. Yeah, I'm sorry. You
Yeah.
gave me any of those. You gave me Ferris Bueller, or breakfast. Give me any of those, and I'm like, I won't go below an 8.
Yeah, and the thing here is, I think, not that you're gonna write down the way the physical comedy is performed, but
Mhm.
it just reminds you that this guy used to write for National Lampoon magazine, so he knows comedy, he knows physical comedy, he knows the impact of that stuff. And you may not see it in his teenage rom-coms as much, here and there, but nowhere as much as you see it in this movie. But
Mhm.
that hold on what is funny shows through here. So
Right.
definitely.
Right. Caveman says, wait, Home Alone has a happy ending? Darn it, I downloaded the wrong version again. I would think the version by your batting average, as far as downloading the wrong version, I would think it had a happy ending.
It, I'll leave that one alone.
We're gonna leave that alone. All right. So cinematography. So what did you think of the visuals here?
The visuals, once again, a lot of, it's kind of like I should have never seen how the sausage is made for this one.
Right.
But knowing that most of the house was built, like I said, at one point in a high school gymnasium, it kind of takes the magic away. So
Yeah.
probably 2 years ago, before I knew that it would have been ranked higher, but now it's like a 6.
See, I'm waiting for these big scores that you're talking about, but I haven't seen anything yet.
Well, it's like a solid, the
10
10 kind of off, the 10-9 is offset by the 8s. It's going to come out to like a mid 80s here.
Okay. All right. Well, let's talk about direction. So Chris Columbus directed this after he discovered America or killed an indigenous species.
There you go.
So what would you give based on his other works? I mean, he's done some pretty good stuff, not to mention the Harry Potter movies, Rent. He did The Help with Viola Davis, which we talked about.
Yep.
Don't
F with the babysitter.
Exactly. Well, and then Gems is Pixels. And Percy Jackson. I love you, Beth Cooper. All right. I'm good with that. So what
It's a
would you
myth.
yeah, it's yeah. What would you
This
give
is
him on a 1 to 10 here?
this is like approaching a 10, but still in the 9. So I'm gonna give it a 9. Like I said, working with kids, having control over. I give the Safdie brothers a lot of credit for like things they do in Good Time and especially in Uncut Gems to make chaos look natural on screen. It's not easy. And whether it's a scene where everybody is getting ready to pack and waiting for the pizza to arrive, or the airport scenes, or just going back to the scenes with the burglars and with Kevin, it takes a lot of like small directions to make everything look seamless, and he does it so well here. So definitely a 9.
Nice. All right, music. What'd you think of the music here? Sound effects.
John Williams is the man. 9.
Yep.
That's all I got to say.
9.
John Williams is the man. Funny enough, my wife likes to watch all these, not necessarily the Lifetime Hallmark, color by number holiday movies, but now you get the Netflix movies like that and so forth. And she was watching this one movie, and I'm eating, but I hear it in the background, and I swear they stole the main title theme from this movie, because the notes, you being a musician, you could understand when like a stanza is exactly the same, or like notes have a certain pattern to the point that the harmony is like almost like the same cadence. And I was like, and it's a Christmas movie? Nah.
You get that ping of that's familiar.
That's a little too familiar.
That's a little too familiar.
I know a lot of composers do that now, because like they'll write or they'll compose to a scene, and they'll say, well, I picture like this one from Thor here, or I picture this from Goblets of Fire here, and then all of a sudden their composition kind of reflects that. But this was like a straight rip. I can't even remember the movie. It was like swell to me, but but I was like, hey, that's Home Alone. And she's like, is it? I was like, yeah, it is. So
yeah, I'm just Twister comes to mind, and I go, you took her, you damn thief. But all right, so the last thing is the wild card. So how would you rate this on a 1 to 10 as a Christmas movie?
This is the Christmas movie.
I actually already put that there. I was just wondering if you were going to change that.
Yeah, no. This is the holiday movie. Has all the elements that you need in a holiday movie. And sorry, Del, a lot of the movies you mentioned lack some of those things. But yeah, when I think Christmas movie, I think Home Alone. I mean, all the way down to It Snowed on Christmas Morning. All the tropes are there. And then you put slapstick comedy on top of it and family dynamics. It's perfect. Look what you made me do, you little jerk. That's next Monday morning. Come on, we're waiting for it to happen, or at least Sunday night. You know, people start early on Christmas Eve, so
House. Nell says Netflix turns out Christmas movies at a ridiculous rate. Yeah,
they're trying to catch up with Lifetime over the last 25 years.
They've been crazy,
and
not good stuff either. I mean,
no, like I said, color by numbers.
I saw Candy Cane Lane last night. I was just like,
it's so silly.
Okay.
It's so silly. Chris Redd probably had the most fun on that movie. He's the torch lighter.
It's a torch lighter.
Yeah. They just gave him free reign. You could tell, and he had too much fun with that.
Yeah, throwing his flirt on, that was good.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to our final scores on Home Alone, coming in second place, you guys. IMDb has given this a 7.7. Rotten Tomatoes critic score 65, audience score 80. Rich gave it a 62. I gave it an 80. KB, your score is an 81.
Yeah. We're in tune, second cousin Dave.
We are.
We're pretty much in tune with everything.
We are
We
pretty
just got
much
to see how we finish this out with this last one.
Yep. All right, we got one more left. You guys, number one movie, and probably what I think is the classic Christmas movie of all time. Not Candy Cane Lane, almost literally disintegrates in the it fell apart like that darn decoration, whatever that thing was.
It just got flat and fell over.
It just it had all of its rings pulled.
Pretty much.
Speaking of rings, let's take a look at our number one movie from KB's Hi-5.
Don't you ever get tired of just reading about things?
Yeah. Hey, what are you doing tonight? I don't want to get married to anybody, you understand? I want to do what I want to do. And you...
Yeah. It's a Wonderful Life. Before we get to that, I have one more hot seat question for you.
Go for it.
Here we go. I got this from you. Give us your most surprising hot take. One movie that you can't stand that everyone seems to love, and this is holiday related. So what is a Christmas movie that people seem to like that you do not?
And I'm going to give my answer like how people answered on my channel. It's not that I hate it.
Right.
I didn't grow up with it, so it's not a cult favorite following for me. And that's A Christmas Story. But I did watch it. I can watch it. What made it more bearable is when I just said, these are just a bunch of little skits. It's like an anthology. And I'm like, okay, because, TBS would run it, the 24-hour marathon. And it's surprising how you could just jump into it at any point and watch it from there. It's because you're watching a mini story. Right. But the way people hold that up in esteem, like it's a holiday cult classic or Christmas Vacation, which I enjoy Christmas Vacation a lot more than Christmas Story. I don't have that affinity for Ralphie. I don't. So yeah.
I gotta say that's my low bar too. It's not that it's a bad movie, but I don't care to watch it as a general rule.
Put it this way, I'd watch the TV version of Fanny and Alexander before I watch Christmas Story 5 times.
Watch Die Hard 2, Del, before seeing A Christmas Story. Brian's been avoiding Candy Cane Lane so far.
Just watch it; it's silly fun.
Rich and I are going to review it on Wednesday.
Nice.
We're going to talk about that. We have a special guest coming Wednesday for By the Numbers, so hopefully you guys can join us. Jimmy Stewart at G. Willikers Best.
Yes,
that's right. Home Alone. Yeah, we know. He never really put my eye out. Very fair point. Yeah, that's the thing. It's not it's not like it's a bad movie, but it's like I like a lot of condiments, but one thing that's way down at the bottom of that list is ketchup. I'm not a ketchup fan. So Christmas Story is my ketchup as far as Christmas movies go.
Gotcha.
If I have no choice and that's the only dip I got, I will use it.
Yeah. I'm looking at my top 25 here, and I have things like Krampus and Christmas Horror Story before I get to A Christmas Story.
Yeah.
I have Fanny and Alexander before that, put it that way.
Oh, yeah. I mean, my top Christmas movie of all time is a horror movie. It's Rare Exports. But unfortunately, I have to watch that by myself because nobody else in my family wants to watch it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that. You must be in the wrong place, Del. We're going to say goodbye to Del. Thank you so much for joining us.
Have a good night.
I'm gonna put you on timeout for 10 minutes because I have
that option. With it. That's the only thing. Like I didn't have cable till college, so it's like I couldn't turn it on Christmas Eve and watch it 4 times in a row. I don't identify with it.
Yeah, well, that's fine. All right, so It's a Wonderful Life. Yes, definitely. And this is I've never seen this all the way through. This is one, and I'm not so big about it, but I'm not a fan of black and white movies as a general rule.
Mhm.
And I didn't really like the remastered color version, so I actually preferred the black and white version in this case. But
Sure.
this was the first time I actually watched it all the way through from beginning to end because I've seen bits of it because bits of it play all the time. Much like you see a Christmas Story will play for 24 hours straight on TNT.
Mhm.
Um, and that might be why I'm kind of tired of it. A Christmas Story is a staple for us this month. Using it, watching, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
A little naughty trivia. Really, caveman from you? No, come on. When Scotty had hard times in the 80s, he actually did real porn movies.
I
Okay.
could believe it.
Yeah. Rare exports. See? I knew you might appreciate that.
Mhm. Watching it tomorrow.
I just recently got the Blu-ray of that because I was like, I have to upgrade this and got the Blu-ray. But you know what's making my list right now is Violent Night. I really like David Harbour's Violent Night. I liked his portrayal of Santa.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's kind of in my Christmas wheelhouse now.
With the Best Buy drop on the 4K Steelbook, I'm upgrading my Blu-ray. Actually, my son is picking it up and bringing it here on Christmas Eve, and I'm just going to exchange it and say, "Here you go." Give him the Blu-ray and
Blu-ray.
take my 4K.
Yeah.
And say, "Merry Christmas." That's your first gift.
Yeah. Gift number 1. Yeah. I was like, my son came in, he says, "Dad, what kind of war movies do you have?" And I'm like, "It's Christmas. Why do you want to watch war movies?" So he's like, I want to watch war movies. So he's like, "Do you have Fury?" Yeah, I've got Fury.
Yeah.
Do you want the 4K or the Blu-ray? Oh, Dunkirk? Yeah, I've got that. I have an extra copy of Dunkirk, so you can have this one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just really funny. I was like, because he came over the other day and he asked for war movies, and it really kind of shocked me.
Hey,
But
they get into things at different times. It's
you
beautiful.
never know. But yeah, so It's a Wonderful Life is from 1946. It was nominated for 5 Oscars, but did not win anything. It was nominated for Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Director, Best Sound Recording, and Best Film Editing. But no actual Oscars, which I thought was a surprise.
Yeah.
It had a $3.1 million budget and made $8.5 million in the box office. And much more on video.
Yeah.
And
TV
There
contract.
must be loaded with naughty parodies of real movies. You think? and everything from Scooby-Doo to not to be confused with It's a Wonderful Knife, which I watched
That was
recently.
fun. I had fun with that.
I kind of enjoyed that. I watched it as a mystery movie in the theater, and it was silly, but I like that they put that It's a Wonderful Life storyline in with a slasher movie, and I was okay with it.
I like Justin Long in a horror movie.
Yeah, I mean he's been doing a few. I loved Barbarian.
So good.
Barbarian was so good. And then not much of a fan of Tusk, but he did good job.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's when I'm like, you know what, I might revisit that at some point, but not immediately.
Yeah.
So what did you have for the cast here? Now this is 46, so you can automatically take the 4 plus anybody that you know, like I said, unless you know more than 2 people. Unless you won't know more than 2 people, then you take the regular score.
No, I just know Jimmy Stewart.
Jimmy Stewart. That was all for me too. So we're gonna put you at a 6. All right. And what did you think of the acting here?
For the acting, I gave it an average of 7. I mean,
okay.
I think whoever said it before about Jimmy Stewart or his G. Willikers, the other part to this is it's weirdly dark at times. I mean, you're talking about a movie. What year was this again?
1946, like right after World War II.
Right after World War II.
Yeah.
I don't think a movie that's with a man contemplating suicide is at the top of everybody's entertainment playlist at the time, because you had a lot of people coming home where that was a reality. So to portray that in something that's supposed to be like a family holiday movie, which sometimes was mismarketed as a romance movie. I don't know, not sure, but overall it's just average. I mean, the individual scenes made the movie, but it was nothing like somebody turned in a stellar performance. Maybe the guy who played Clarence, um, Henry Travers. I think his was fun because it was cute and it was innocent, but no one was over the top, like memorable. Like you said, no one won any Academy Awards for it. I
Yeah,
wouldn't
Jimmy
even.
Stewart was nominated for Best
Yeah.
Actor, but that was it.
So just a 7.
7's fine. All right. So the plot, let's read the synopsis from IMDb. It says an angel is sent from heaven to help a desperately frustrated businessman by showing him what life would be like if he had never existed.
And mainly because I can't remember not knowing this story as a plot. I gave it an 8.
Okay.
Because it's just like I didn't even know it was like based on a short story or whatever like that. The Greatest Gift.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But I could see it being like a book or something like that. But it's almost like a staple because pretty much from the time I could sit and watch something on TV with my family, it's been on NBC or whatever station was carrying it since I'm a little kid. So I just know it. It's like knowing Sesame Street or Electric Company. It's like something that came, or Wizard of Oz, something that just came on around the holidays every year.
Right. Nice. Okay. Ending. So what did you think of the ending here?
This one I gave a 10. And, that's right. That's right.
Me too. Me too.
I don't know. The more we have hold up, I got to step up on my soapbox here. We have this lovely thing where we have, dare I say it, staples, movies we care about, movies that we've lauded for years. And I don't know if it's like harsher criticism or just people just trying to say, well, trying to discount things that we popularize, where it's like, well, if there's a franchise, they won't like the original just because it's popular to like the original kind of thing.
Right.
And someone was dissecting this the other day. Also, shout out to Plot-X2 and Stephanie from Movie Chatter. They did a really good video talking about It's a Wonderful Life together. And even they pointed out the fact that, okay, great ending, he's still not getting what he wants. I'm like, yeah, but he sees value of what he has.
Exactly.
That's what makes it a 10.
You realize, I don't know, it's not that bad.
You don't have to travel.
Yeah.
You don't have to have ruly kids or a non-drafty house.
Yeah.
He has what he needs, not what he wants.
Yeah.
And it's like we just have to stop trying to just over criticize things that we just have as like set staples.
Mm-hmm.
Is it bedtime?
It's it might be going out to go potty for my dog because he's getting a little antsy.
Okay.
So
Let's
you know
wrap
what? Well, actually, give me just a minute because he's 3 months old, so he's liable to go potty.
Oh yeah, he's not gonna make it.
He's not gonna make it. So let's go ahead and continue with your soapbox on that. I'll be back in 2 shakes.
Yeah. I'm just gonna look to see anyone chiming in here. No? Okay. Yeah, I'm afraid of caveman search history. Just looking over here. I haven't been looking at the comments, but I don't know. I don't think it's necessary to dissect everything that people say is a classic or, something that previous generations have held in high esteem. Some things won't translate, but, some things do if you give it a chance. But make your own critique, but don't yuck our yum kind of thing. I don't know. Who's still here anyway? I can't look to see how many people are in the chat. You never do, my friend. You never do. It's a search history that would be making me nervous, but fortunately, I don't have to take a look at it, so it's all good. While we're waiting, what with the people still in the chat, what would you put as your top holiday movie? Just put it in the chat here so we could have some interactions while we wait. I know Dell has Home Alone. Who else has something different? Just going back looking, not so much Christmas Story slander. It's just not the same thing I'm used to. Plan on rewatching It's a Wonderful Life. It's been a really long time since I've seen it. Yeah, I think you're probably like me. It used to come on, I believe, on like Channel 4 NBC every year. So that's probably when you saw it. When if you saw it as a kid, um, I don't know. It's some things just stay with you. That's for sure.
Everybody's still here. Nice. Yeah, my dog did not want to go outside because it's raining. So
Yeah.
I had to go out there with him for a second.
It's
And
like a
now,
new generation of babies when they're
yeah,
that young.
Deck the Halls is supposed to be a fun one.
Ah, The Family Man, Nick Cage, Tia
Yeah,
Leone.
I am not a fan of the Family Man. But
I'm a fan of Tia Leone.
I like Tia Leone. But I do appreciate you guys sticking with us, even though I had to step away. But my dog is happy now and he's back in his bed.
I was just asking people to fill in like what are their favorites or ones that they enjoy watching. So
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay. So where do we leave off? Story, it looks like. So what
yes.
would you give the story on a 1 to 10 here?
Story, I gave it a 7.
Okay.
And that's what we were talking about with like the ending and then moving into story and script. Yeah, Brian, you know what's up.
Oh yeah.
It's not so much that there were plot holes in the story or, crossing over to the script, but I don't know. At times it feels unbalanced. And most people say it's not a Christmas movie until the end, since we're trying to keep it in the respect of holiday movies. But I think that's the most impactful part. So
yeah,
back again to the whole Die Hard thing. Yeah, Die Hard is more of a Christmas movie than It's a Wonderful Life because the events don't take place unless it's Christmas Eve. So,
all right. Mika says Black Christmas, Home Alone, Christmas Vacation, Anne and the Apocalypse, and Krampus.
I gotta watch that. I gotta watch Anna and the Apocalypse. I've heard good things, except from movies with Ryan. He didn't like it.
No. K-Man says Trapped in Paradise with Carvey and Levitz. Okay.
Love his comedies, man.
All right. So what would you give the script here on a 1 to 10?
The script I would say is a little stronger. So I went with the 8 on that one.
Okay.
Don't remember the writers of that one. Capra was in it, of course, the writer of the short story.
Francis Goodrich, Albert Hackett, and Frank Capra.
Yeah. So it looks like there were a lot of hands in the kitchen putting this together.
Yeah.
But I think this is a situation where more actually helped because you really have like a multifaceted story here. You have the story of, Potter and all his evil ways. You have the story of this guy kind of like being the patriarch of his family and his neighbors and his community, whether it's recognized or not by him and the people around him. He saves them. He gets down on his own luck. It's a lot going on for a movie. What is it, like a little over 2 hours? It's a lot going on. So I could see where it takes a lot of writing, but it was solid altogether for sure.
Yeah. All right. So what did you think of the visuals here? And again, for the time, 1946, black and white.
I gave it a poor score here.
Oh, okay.
I know.
Yeah.
I
Well,
had a hard
mhm.
time putting it in perspective of the time.
Mhm.
I'll admit to that. But the 3 was just for the swimming pool alone.
Mm.
The swimming pool got a 3.
Okay, so
But
you're giving it a 3?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Wow,
That
nice.
that would be my only hit on the movie, honestly, overall. Everything else is average or higher.
Okay. All right, so direction. So it was also directed by Frank Capra, who did such beauties as Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, It Happened One Night, and You Can't Take It With You.
Yeah. Another solid outing. So I
Mhm.
went with an 8 here. Not
Okay.
his best work, but a solid work. I think this is a case where you have a strong director and he helps a movie that would somewhat be otherwise, low key, not that good, a better movie.
Mhm.
Like I said, with the writing, if you had an average director or not enough people writing the script, it probably wouldn't be as strong as it is. But yeah, an 8 here.
Okay. Let's see. Music. So where would you put the music and the sounds in the
What
movie?
what do you I'm going to turn this back on you. What do you remember about besides Buffalo Gals being sang and
Right.
and the score during the
It was
romantic scene in the
it was
house?
the score. Yeah, it was the score during the romantic scenes and just him just running down the street in the snow and how the music was playing to that.
Mhm.
Uh, that's one of the things that kind of jars my memory. Not so much the actual songs in
Yeah.
the movie, but the score that goes with the scenes. It sets the emotion for you.
Mhm.
So if you're supposed to feel romantic or sad, you
Yeah.
get that. You're supposed to feel like it's intense and you don't know what's going to happen. You get that suspenseful dun 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 music,
Mhm.
and that's what kind of sticks out for me.
Yeah. And it's not too much or anything like that. So I just gave it a 6.
That's
It's good,
where
it
I
captures, but it's not
it,
overpowering. It's not a
exactly,
Howard Shore score.
exactly. It's not it doesn't I mean it impacts the movie, but it basically just sets the emotion that you're supposed to feel
Yeah.
you
It
as you
doesn't
go in.
necessarily drive
Well,
the
it
scene.
it it does its job. It's like the Denny's of musical scores of soundtracks because
I like
okay,
that.
I'm I got enough to eat, but it
Mhm.
wasn't really great.
Yeah.
But but you give me something like, and I'm just going to use this as a reference. One of my favorite how they incorporate the soundtrack in the movie is A Knight's Tale with Heath Ledger, and I that's my absolute favorite soundtrack and the way they did the music in the film,
Mhm.
incorporating that into it with Golden Years and Queen and David Bowie and all that. I mean, I love the music, but the way they incorporated it as part of the movie, it was like it was its own character, and
It
I
almost sounds
absolutely
like
love
a musical.
it, but it's not.
No,
Uh,
it's not.
no. Um, oh yeah, best Tia Leone movie introduction has to be back. I agree with that. That's where I remember Anne and the Apocalypse, fun, weird musical. Okay, so I'm out, but I might watch it. I haven't seen Anne and the Apocalypse either,
I
but
might add that to my, movie challenge this month.
mm,
Yeah.
um,
Madam
Bad Boys,
Secretary.
Deep Impact, Madam Secretary. Yeah, I like her in Deep Impact. Her character, just the struggle that she had to deal with her father and mother, and what happened with
Not that
that,
deep,
and
man.
then plus the end of the world. It was like and that she's like the only one that knows practically. That was just amazing. Yeah. Caveman, it's not that Deep Impact. No, not the
Yeah.
one from your wherever your
Corruption.
source is. You gotta definitely talk about your source because
Sounds
all
like he
right.
has a hub server over there.
I think so. It
A
starts with a
P-hub
P and ends
server.
in hub.
A P-hub server.
Hub server. Um, all right. So the last thing is the wild card. So how would you rate this as a Christmas movie on a 1 to 10?
Now, this is kind of odd because between this and Miracle on 34th Street, it's my wife's favorite holiday movies.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said before, a lot of people would not rate it as being a quote unquote Christmas movie. It's a holiday movie,
Holiday
which is what we're judging it by.
Exactly.
So is it a Christmas movie? No. Is it a holiday movie? Questionable.
Okay.
I'm going to have to put it right around a 7.
Okay.
But it's a popular movie around the holidays. But that wasn't the question.
Definitely is.
But I love it. It's once again, this is nostalgia. This is all nostalgia, and that's where I'm coming from with all of these.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely had fun like picking these and getting them together. These two definitely need to be watched this month, but like I started off saying, I have to wait until all 3 of my kids are home, as well as White Christmas. We'll probably watch at least 2 of them on Christmas Eve, and the other one will probably be fired up on Christmas Day. And I look forward to that, you know? I really do.
Yeah, I look forward to being with family, and
yeah, as they get older, it becomes more and more about that and less about the food and the libations and the gifts and all that stuff. It's like, I mean, I could tell you what I want for Christmas, sure. You know, I got a list, but at the same time, I'll trade one of those if you tell me you're coming in one day earlier and not going anywhere else. If you come and then you're out with your girlfriends or
then you're not, you didn't
buddy, you're just in the same zip code.
Yeah.
If you're at the bar getting a drink with your buddy you haven't seen in 2 years, you're not home.
You're not home. That's
in the house.
But if you're home and you're in the house and you're eating dinner with us and you're having that's the
that's more important than a Christmas gift to me.
I agree.
I did put some stuff on my list.
Yeah, no, I'm really simple as far as stuff goes. My kids know not to buy movies for me because chances are I've already got it. But so gift cards, no problem. Yeah, especially Amazon. Give me an Amazon card or a Best Buy card until they stop selling movies.
Right.
Which is going to happen really soon. But other than that, I'd rather you just come over and let me cook dinner.
Yeah.
That's all I want. Now let's talk, especially, my sons who are both in their 30s, let's have a beer and sit by the fire and, talk with your old man and just let me know how everything's going. That's all I have. That's the best.
It's amazing how this shift has taken place over time, but I treasure it. I treasure it as much as I did staying up the night before, putting together that bike or assembling that dollhouse or whatever the case may be. This is just the next level of that. That's how important it is to me. And these movies.
All right. So let's go to our final scores on It's a Wonderful Life. And this takes Rich in my top spot. I mean, not my top movie, but it was Rich's top movie for sure. But it's our number 1 movie, and let's see where it ranks on your end. So IMDb gives us an 8.6. Rotten Tomatoes critics score 94%. Audience score 95%. Rich gave it an 84. I gave it a 79. KB, you gave it an 70.
I know what dipped that score was.
That was at 3.
Yeah, the visuals.
3%. Cinematography. Deep Impact is greater than Armageddon. A
lot of people think so, but Armageddon is way more popular. It's kind of like Lost Boys versus Fright Night. Yeah,
and I'm a huge Fright Night fan. That's 1 and 2 for me, but Fright Night is 1 and Lost Boys because I like the classic style of
Lost
vampire.
Boys is just cooler.
Yeah, I do love Lost Boys, but Dell's got to turn in. Good night, my friend.
Have a good night, brother.
Appreciate it.
Good night, Bonnie.
yeah, so I am going to I got to write the rankings here and do the full card. While I do that, I'm going to flip this around and expand it to you. So go ahead and let everyone know about your channel, what's coming up, anything new happening. And if you guys are not following KB by now, you should be. So all of his connections are in the description below. Feel free to go over there and subscribe to his channel if you haven't already. But I'm pretty sure they are, but just in case. But anyway, my good friend, my second cousin, take it away. Let us know what's going on your channel.
Sure. KB Loves Movies on YouTube, Instagram, also on Letterboxd, where I might actually review a movie one day instead of just giving it a ranking. Most of the things I do on the channel are having conversations with fellow movie lovers. That is my thing. It's the whole reason I joined YouTube. Looking forward to the new year. Definitely more conversations. Having some guests back for the new year. Also having a lot more people that are new as far as guests. We're also, and this is the first time I'm actually announcing it on someone else's channel, we're expanding the conversation from being a one-to-one only to being a one-to-many, calling it the Round Table. Shout out to Mid-Level Media, just keeping with the name in a sense. But we're going to have moderations of conversations with multiple people. And my goal there is just to bring either people that the audience is familiar with or different pockets of people together. So, for instance, when I had the month of October and I had my spooky conversations, 31 conversations in 31 days, I had people from all different walks of life, different social medias, and just to bring them together and talk movies. So it's time to cross streams, as the case may be. This is not Ghostbusters, so we definitely want to encourage it this time around. And we're going to just be able to do that. And we're going to have versus conversations, OGs versus remakes. We're going to have different generations of conversations. All coming together. All coming together.
Excellent. Excellent. And let's bring it back. Yeah.
A little feedback. A little feedback.
Yeah, that was I'm rendering the outro with all your scores and everything. So it takes the resources on my computer a little bit. But now that that's rolling, it'll kind of clear up. But it tends to put right when I started, it puts the kibosh on my whole thing. So no, I'll be around checking out the content on both y'all's channels. Can't wait to see the new stuff on KB's channel.
Definitely having you back, Jack.
Thank you, Mika. Thank you, Bonnie. Of course, follow KB. That's right. But yeah, that was pretty awesome. So, are you ready to see the individual rankings for all of our movies? So this is yours, mine, and Rich's. Which, hopefully I spelled everything correctly because I just did that really fast. I should have that. Okay, so that's rendered. So I will download that. But this has been a blast, KB. I've really enjoyed this. I want to thank you so much for joining myself. I was going to ask because I'm so used to having Rich here. I do like the roundtable format as well. I think you should go all out with it, and everybody should be named after a night. So we should all be, I have dibs on Percival, but no, we could do, Sir David, Sir Lowdown, or whatever.
I like that.
Yeah, I like the roundtable idea. I think that's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, you are automatically invited because I'm going to have one. Let me see. I'm going to just put it out there. What's the name of it? Where is it? Here it is. The Old Fart Collectors. So
I
Those
definitely
who
qualify.
remember their first VCR. So I'm going to invite a couple of people. Tony Basement Blues definitely included. You, Rich, definitely in there. And it's just going to be a little reminiscing. And, you know, everybody had their mom and pop video store. We're going to talk about all those great things.
Mm-hmm.
Have some questions, some conversation starters, and we'll just go from there. But
Okay.
there'll be other things, discussions about physical media versus streaming. As I said, versus OGs versus remakes. John Doe Juggalo and I were discussing things like video games versus movie adaptations. So we're going to have a slew of different topics, and I encourage anyone who has any topics they'd like to see to definitely just drop me a line on Instagram and add it to it. But the Cross and Streams one is the one I'm looking forward to. Just having two or more blue tubers who don't necessarily follow each other or move in the same realms, just getting together and talking about things, because I like to bring people together, be a connector of sorts.
Nice. I've noticed that.
It's my thing.
Myself, I include myself in that. That
Yeah.
you've brought me together with yourself and with a lot of other people, just, you know, by being a part of the conversation, and your connection to our show, which we've always appreciated. I know I speak for Rich when I say we love seeing you on here. Even if it's just for a short time, when you just pop in and
I'm
say,
usually
hey,
coming in right at the end. I don't know
right
what that is. I'm like, oh, let me check out David. Oh, they're finishing.
Oh, it's already done. All right, so let's look at the rankings for the for the 5 movies between the 3 of us. That's where I was going to try to go. So KB, you have Home Alone at number 1 with an 81, then Elf with an 80, Scrooged with a 78, White Christmas with a 71, and It's a Wonderful Life bringing up the rear with a 70. Rich had It's a Wonderful Life at 84, White Christmas 68, Scrooged at 63, Home Alone at 62, and Elf dragging the caboose at 57. I have Home Alone at number 1 with an 80, It's a Wonderful Life 79, Scrooge 77, Elf 73, and White Christmas 70.
We're all over the place.
So we're all over the place, but I think, you know, I mean, aside from It's a Wonderful Life, I think you and I are pretty well even.
Yeah.
Only a point or two off here and there. But with It's a Wonderful Life, some things that surprised me once I got all the way through. I liked the story more than I thought I would. I liked the ending more than I thought I would. So I ended up giving those pretty high scores. And I think that's why I ended up a little bit higher. But Rich absolutely loved It's a Wonderful Life. I thought, you know, because he went, oh, Elf, oof. And, I knew he wasn't going to give Elf a good score. But I was afraid he was going to say the same thing about It's a Wonderful Life, but he absolutely loved it. So
that's awesome.
I'm really glad that he enjoyed that and had a good time. And I know he wanted to be here tonight, but definitely Miles is more important.
Yeah, family.
So yeah, family definitely. Real life has to come first. But you guys, before I go, I want to say that this live stream is sponsored by Spotify for podcasting. They take the audio portion of this live stream and they put it out on Spotify. In addition, they transfer it over to Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Radio Public, Castbox, Pocket Cast, and Google Podcasts. They do that for free. They sponsor us and they give us more sponsors once we get more followers. So you guys, if you are not following us on Spotify, please do. Then you can listen to us on any of those mediums. But I always have to get that fine print out of the way before we go. KB, second cousin, this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you
for joining me, and I speak for Rich, joining us on the Faces for Radio podcast. Before we go, anything else you want to say to everyone? I know we want to wish everyone a happy holidays. And if they do celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
I reflect those sentiments altogether.
Excellent.
For sure.
All right.
Let's do better in 2024. That's what I have to say.
Yes, always strive to improve. I agree. I just, just an extra yard, an extra first down. It's football reference because that's the time of year for me.
Mhm.
I'm going to play the outro, which is going to have a recap of all of KB's scores and our scores for the movies. So if you guys did come in halfway through, you can get all of our scores. Until then, for my second cousin KB and for me, David, aka the 4K Lowdown, thank you so much for watching the Faces for Radio podcast. We'll see you on Wednesday for By the Numbers episode 49. Until then, be safe, take care, and happy holidays.
Go watch a movie.